Hey guys. This is part 5 of What If Naruto Could Talk to the Nine Tails from the Start and Was Corrupted. Hit like and subscribe if you like this one, and also please check the author in the description. Let's start.
We are pain, that's all. We are God.
Chapter 31 Mother? What about Lover? One last day of traveling remained for Naruto and Jiraiya. It was just the one for Tsunade and Shizen though. By the time they saw the gates of the Leaf Village, it was barely noon. The boy wanted to see his favorite sensei while the new Hokage wanted to attend to her duties, really handing them to her assistant, as soon as possible, so they went first thing in the morning after breakfast. None were too hurt the day of the deadlock for traveling, which gave them a leg up. Izumo's eyes widened as they were in viewing distance. Lady Tsunade? He flickered to Kotetsu, grabbed the back of his head, and forced him to bow alongside him. What's the big idea? It's Lady Tsunade, you idiot! You're both dumbass, Naruto said, not even bothering to look at them. Tsunade raised a hand in greeting. Thank you for your service! I'm proud of you, Lady Tsunade, Shizen said with a smile. Naruto scoffed, drawing her ire. Gonna compliment her for every little good thing she does. He shot her glare one of his own. What is with you two? Jiraiya asked. I mean, you barely know each other. Shizen looked away with a huff. I know enough. Naruto has a point. Tsunade glanced at her assistant. I shouldn't be praised for what I'm supposed to do. Her eyes met the ones belonging to the same proud woman that taught her so many years ago. Lady Tsunade. Jiraiya and Naruto raising a curious eyebrow at her tone of voice and sharing a look made her twitch. It's not like that, you perverts. The boy clucked his tongue. Call it whatever you want to. He turned to the direction of the Mitarashi residence. I've got someone I need to meet. Jiraiya clucked his own when he took off. One could easily the same about what you have with that someone. Kakashi isn't gonna be happy when he wakes up. Why? Tsunade asked. He's been sleeping in the same bed as Anko. Her eyes widened. He told her how Orochimaru's favorite student came back with a treasure trove of information over the week Naruto spent training. She thought it a bit odd for her to be defending him from her former sensei, but didn't think their relationship was anything inappropriate. Wait, they've been having sex? No, just sleeping next to each other. Oh, that's actually sweet. Jiraiya held back a laugh. I forgot to tell you that Anko wears nothing but a skirt, fishnets, and a coat. He grinned as the gears in his old teammate's head began turning. When she goes to sleep, she's wearing just the fishnets and skirt. He narrowly dodged a slap from her. And you let him? He raised a hand to rub the back of his head. I know how it sounds, but you have to see it to believe it. The kid's like her baby boy. Kinda makes the flirting they do a bit weird though. She didn't take the news that he was going with me well. A frown formed from his lips. And I don't think she's going to take news of him running into Orochimaru again well either. It was the truth, but there wasn't anything she could do about it. Naruto, for the first time in quite some time, thought he was an awful person. For nearly the entire trip, he didn't think of Anko. His training took priority, but it still made him feel bad. He left her alone in a den of vipers, the kind she couldn't summon and hopefully didn't like. The Nine Tails kept him company while she came back to her empty home every night. Actually enjoying the trip to a great degree made him feel even worse. He dropped into her backyard, slid open the door, and walked inside. Anko-sensei? Shaking his head, he nearly slapped himself. Of course she isn't here, it's daylight. He looked down at his more than dirty clothes. And I haven't showered in almost 2 weeks. I really don't understand why you all do that. Not all of us are comfortable licking ourselves. He unzipped his vest and slipped it off his shoulders. Disgusting, I have never once done such a thing. Grimacing, he tugged his arms inside his fishnets and shirt before pushing them off him. That's even worse. I am a being composed entirely of chakra. I do not get dirty. Explain that to me. He unhooked his pouches and pushed down his shorts, boxers included. Just what are you tailed beasts? He gathered the clothing up into a ball and began walking to the washer/dryer machine in the yard. How are you related to each other? Suppose there's no harm in telling you. Chances are no one will believe you anyway. The 9 of us were once a single being. He tilted his head, threw in his clothes, and followed it up with his forehead protector. How'd you split? The old sage. And why did he do that? He threw a small pack of soap from a nearby basket in and slammed the door shut before activating the machine. We were a mindless, destructive super being that may have created this world on accident. As one, we were sealed into the sage for a time, but he didn't want nor need our combined power, so he attempted to split what we were into as many pieces as possible. Walking to the bathroom, he clucked his tongue. I thought he could do anything. You try splitting a being you only prevailed over because it was a mindless cataclysm. It growled for a moment before falling silent. Anyway, what we were was separated into 9 uneven pieces. He wanted to keep going until he noticed the 9 halves of chakra were drawn to each other. So he turned them into you guys. He slipped into the shower and turned the hot water knob. We were made distinct in appearance, abilities, and personality to the point we were numbered by tails so we would never be drawn to each other again. Needless to say, it worked. Why not turn you into people? Have you seen how your kind handles power? Good point. He let the warm water wash away the built-up grime and sweat on his body. Wait a minute. He raised a hand to his chin. You called the one-tailed Shikaku. Do you have a name? Yes. What is it? I'm not telling you. Why not? He frowned. You know literally everything about me. Only when I'm absolutely certain you're on the path to achieve our objectives. The fuck are you talking about? We are no closer to finding the man with the Sharingan, and you are still in this wretched village. I can understand the former, but the latter makes me doubt you. Both of us could have been freed of these gnats after that fight with the snake and his bony pet. The old man and the women would have more than a hard time stopping you. Scowling, he scoffed. And where we would go? Where would we gather our intel on people with rip-off Rinnegan when they all lived here? His eyes narrowed. Go on. Tell me, if you're so smart. So long as you are in the influence of those who say they care, you will doubt yourself. That doubt will tempt you from the path you've chosen. My mind is made up. For now. The man with the Sharingan has left us alone, but I am sure he is biding his time for the right moment. There is someone or several people in the village he is wary of. And you think leaving will draw him out while keeping me from doubting myself? Exactly. He will be forced to make a move. If he has been watching since the trip to retrieve the woman began, he is afraid of someone on that level. He would stand no chance if we worked together. He closed his eyes as he ran his hands through his wet hair. I'm doing it alone. Don't be stupid. His genjutsu was powerful enough to put me under his control. At the very least, I will be defending you from such attacks. Hate that I have no control over that. He hummed. What's his fighting style? Jutsu? I know nothing other than his Sharingan abilities, but he might have been good enough to keep pace with your father. My dad that could kill Orochimaru in the blink of an eye and go head-to-head with the old man in his prime? The man with the Sharingan could also be dead for all either of us knows. You mentioned Madara Uchiha, right? He would be well over or about a century old if that was him, and I don't remember him being on the same level of speed as your father when he fought Hashirama. If it were, then he is dead. Your father would be more than a match for a decrepit Madara. He tilted his head. How did the fight with the first Hokage go? Madara had me, encased in that chakra avatar of his, under his thrall, and he still lost. Wow. That might just be the most impressive fuck-up I've ever heard. It was. When I came to my senses, I was being sealed in Mito with the sacrifice of one of her kinsmen, while Hashirama finished Madara off. So the first really was that powerful, huh? He pursed his lips. Compared to Madara, yes. He had what you call a bad match-up with us tailed beasts, his would release. I'm not sure how to explain it. There's something about it that's so familiar yet just out of reach. It suppresses and restrains us, as the records Hashirama left behind say, but why it does eluded him and eludes me to this day. Except for that one Umbu asshole Kakashi knows, he's the only one anyone knows was capable of it. What about the sage? He wouldn't need it to defeat or restrain us. When he let himself die, we were merely children in comparison to what we grew into. There was need nor want to do such a thing anyway. Naruto smirked and laughed. Were you as small as an actual fox? No. We towered over every human still. Your kind found us adorable then. We were worshipped and praised for sharing the wisdom the old sage left us while his spawn squabbled over who should succeed him, as if he intended to leave a successor at all. Then we grew bigger in accordance to our chakra. Your kind found us horrifying after. We were reviled and mocked for daring to impart our views on humanity, as they distanced themselves from us. Some of us did the distancing, fearing we'd unintentionally harm those we were entrusted to guide. I grew the fastest, still I'm the most powerful, and remained the cutest among my kin, so I was the first to distance myself. Children that used to climb me during my sleep began falling to their deaths, and the cries of their parents over such stupidity was becoming annoying. Oh! He turned the hot water knob off, ending his shower. One of you humans discovered sealing jutsu, and we are now at the infinite bottom of the downward spiral. At least we get to enjoy watching your disgusting brethren kill each other forever. To think we believed we could ever help you. The Nine Tails began growling. To think the old sage of all beings had faith you could help yourselves. That's why you're so angry at us and hate us. Stepping out, he grabbed a towel from the nearby rack. You loved the old sage. He almost laughed when the growling stopped. We loved you. A frown formed on his lips as he dried himself off. I think I'm close to understanding. He hummed before walking out of the bathroom. It won't do you any good. He clucked his tongue on his way to the bed. You say that about a lot of things. Plopping himself down, he curled in on himself, much like a pet. Anko-sensei. His eyes turned red. That asshole got to train for nearly 2 weeks with my sensei. I told you to kill him in the forest. And how would I explain that to lazy-ass Kakashi? A growl built in his throat. She's my sensei. Mine. It died with several deep breaths. She must have felt so alone. I'm all she has, and I left her here. How do you think she will react when she discovers what you have planned? He nuzzled the sheets, imagining her in their place. I don't know, she's never said anything about the village. The old man was the only other person close to her as much as I was. Hana is like her rival, she knows Jiraiya. And Orochimaru is someone she wants to kill more than anyone else. And if she opposes you? She won't. Or she can't, if I take her with me. If you wish to destroy the leaf, she won't allow it. You don't know that. Don't lie to yourself, you know she doesn't wish this for you. I doubt she will stand in your way, but she may be pressed to do so. The best you can hope for is her disapproval. Naruto stared out into nothing. I can work with that. I'll just give her all cuddles, hugs, and attention in the world. She can't resist. A grin spread across his face. I know what to do. Lifting his upper body, blood rushed to his face, turning his cheeks a vibrant pink. I just have to make Anko-sensei my woman. You're a hormonal idiot. Oh, shut up. He fell back down and violently rubbed his cheek against the bed. I've grabbed her tits, she's seen me almost naked, I've seen her almost naked, we've been flirting, and I've been on top of her. A pleased hum built in his throat like a cat's purr. Just needs one good push. Closing his eyes, he let himself nap. There were many lingering feelings he needed to express. Questions he wanted answers to deep down lingered as well. He knew the tailed beast was right, and he didn't want to stay in the village any longer than he had to. Until they were resolved or at least appeased, he'd stay. For almost 2 weeks, Anko Mitarashi was denied a cuddly, albeit sometimes angry, ball of concentrated joy. Looking after his teammates was her consolation prize. She had no idea what happened between the two boys, but she knew something was going to happen between them soon enough. The kunoichi of the trio tried to obtain the information after realizing it herself to no avail, which astounded the pink-haired girl due to his usual candidness. Without a doubt, it was awful, just like the empty house she came back to after getting used to company. She watched the two clash against each other using only taijutsu. They used up most of their reserves on refining the jutsu they already knew. Ever since the missing genin of their team broke down the flaws in Lee and Guy's particular style, they'd been working on adjusting their own. Sasuke's was static yet violent, while Sakura's resembled the Academy's basic, fluid style to adjust more in the thick of it. One was more of a specific counter to a particular style, and the other was an all-rounder to be used in any situation. It suited their personalities. When they asked her for pointers, she merely told them to go for grapples. Ninjutsu was better suited to handle multiple enemies, while simple holds could cripple an enemy on their lonesome. A man in Umbu uniform complete with bare mask flickering into their vision drew their attention. Sakura Haruno and Sasuke Uchiha, Lady Hokage requests your presence at the Hokage residence. Lady Hokage? Sakura raised an eyebrow and froze when realization struck. Naruto came back with Tsunade? She turned to her team member's gloomy face. Anko approached the Umbu with wide eyes. As the substitute leader of Team 7 while Kakashi Hatake is indisposed, why are they being summoned? I have not been told, but you are free to go with them as their acting leader, he said. Naruto Uzumaki is being summoned as well. He isn't with her? She flinched at her own volume. After escorting Lady Fifth back to the village, he parted ways with her. He will surely be there regardless. He made the tiger seal and disappeared. We're all being summoned by the new 5th Hokage. Sakura raised a hand to stroke her chin. Glancing at the still gloomy Uchiha, she frowned. Seriously, Sasuke, please tell me what happened. He shut his eyes. We should go see what Lady Hokage wants. Anko turned to the direction of the Hokage residence. That we should. She formed the tiger seal herself. Focus on figuring out whatever personal drama happened after. Like the umbu, she flickered away. Both of them made the tiger seal and followed after her. They were too distracted by the tension to really think about why they were summoned. In all likelihood, it was the least of their worries after everything that happened as of late. Events after the Chunin exam fiasco were a little too peaceful, and they were expecting the pendulum to swing at any moment. With a yawn, Naruto stirred from his nap. He really didn't get enough sleep through the night. All he thought about was his favorite sensei and how awful he was. That single night was likely what she felt, yet even worse over the time period he was gone. Hopefully, he could make it up to her in the form of a date she would totally be fine with. It having the slightest possibility of sex afterward was just a bonus. How long was I out? He slipped off the bed and began walking to the yard. Hey! Shaking his head, he flung the washer/dryer machine door open. I didn't know you can actually sleep inside me, if you aren't just ignoring me. He retrieved his regular temperature forehead protector and tied it around his head. A few hours, I guess. The rest of his clothing was disappointingly the same when he slipped into them. I wanted that fresh, warm, dry clothes feeling. He shrugged before jumping out of the yard to travel by rooftop. A quarter way to the practice field his team usually trained on, a member of the umbu kneeled on the rooftop he landed on. Naruto Uzumaki, Lady Hokage has summoned you. He raised an eyebrow. Already? He tilted his head. Where to? The Hokage residence. What for? Lady Fifth didn't say. Humming, he waved her off. I got it. He began grumbling when she flickered away. Save your old ass from a bone man, and this is how you repay me? He turned in the direction of the Hokage residence and took off. It didn't take him long to reach the place. He briefly recoiled in disgust at the sight of the academy before walking into the building. The ninja and staff members inside widened their eyes at him, or even inclined their heads out of what seemed to be respect. Such positive attention was something he wasn't used to, so he averted his eyes and hoped he wasn't blushing, which he somewhat was. Rolling his eyes, he opened the door to the Hokage's office. All right, what's the big deal? He stepped in. I was going to... He drifted off when he saw his teammates beside Shikamaru, Shikaku, and the person he wanted to see all off to the side. The woman closed the distance between them and embraced him. Naruto! Anko-sensei! He hugged her back, nuzzling her stomach. I was looking for you. Looking up, he smiled at the water welling up in her eyes. I wish I could have come home sooner. He glared at the woman sitting behind the desk. But someone wanted to wait a week before coming to her senses. Naruto! Sakura scolded while Shizen glared back at him. You can't talk to the Hokage like that. He scoffed. I did it with the old man. I'm not gonna change now. It's quite all right. I wouldn't be here now if it weren't for that bratty attitude. Tsunade said, smiling. See? She says she's fine with it, not that I care. He locked his blue eyes with her brown. Why are we here, Granny? Shikamaru took a deep breath and sighed. The four of us took the Chunin exams. We're being promoted to Chunin, Sasuke said. Tsunade wrapped her hands together. 3 of you are being promoted to Chunin. She smirked when realization sparked on most of their face. No way. Sakura looked to the young man getting his cheeks pinched by a giddy adult. Naruto Uzumaki, you showed your aptitude in the Chunin exams, but you displayed ability rivaling that of a Kage when you defeated the manifestation of the One-Tail during the attack on the village. On Jiraiya's mission, you fought back an opponent that bested me in a matter of seconds. Your taijutsu, ninjutsu, stealth skills, battle analysis, and ability to adapt are beyond the level of Genin or Chunin. You qualify for the rank of Jonin. Ibiki, standing completely ignored to her left, cleared his throat. May I, Lady Hokage? Yes, you may. She, Shizen, and the Tokubetsu Jonin grinned maliciously. Enko moved her hands from Naruto's confused face to his shoulders. I might have forgotten to mention something. She looked to the Leaf's head of torture and interrogation. Guess you're finally getting me back for the Chunin exams. Please. His eyes were fixed on the boy. I've been looking forward to meeting you again. Said boy only blinked. Who the fuck are you? I'm probably going to enjoy this more than I usually would. Enko squinted. Tokubetsu fakers what? What? Naruto snickered. What is this all about? He scanned the various faces in the room. Other than the initial three, he found Sakura with a gleeful grin as well, the Naraos and last of the Uchiha looking very disinterested. The pink-haired girl tilted her head almost sweetly. You remember the interrogation jutsu, right? All jonin are trained to resist it. It mimics the effects of a seizure on the target, and effectively is one, Shizen said with a sing-song tone. Tsunade cackled. You can handle it, right? Her eyes narrowed. Grinning back, the boy looked to Ibiki. Bring it, bitch. The torturer chuckled as he went through hand signs. You all say that. His chuckles grew into full laughter when the boy collapsed, convulsing. It died when he made the tiger seal with little issue besides some shaky hands. Oh. Is that it? He scoffed. You want another? He used the interrogation jutsu one more time only for him to break out of it even faster. Well, that's disappointing. Sakura pouted. It took me at least 24 tries to get used to it. Are you guys forgetting I beat the shit out of a doped Kiba while my insides were boiled? The boy kicked up and stretched. Even beat back Niji while I was at it. Doing that was harder than whatever this is. Shikamaru shook his head. Did you guys really think Naruto of all people would have difficulty managing extreme discomfort? It was worth a try. Shizen sighed. Thought it'd take him at least 6. Tsunade clucked her tongue. Would have bet money on it if I was still in the mood for gambling. She pursed her lips. I expected a great deal of endurance after seeing that shadow clone trick of yours, but I was banking on brain disturbance being your least tolerable pain. Only pain I can't take is getting kicked in the nuts. Naruto smirked. What do I get for making Jonin, Granny? Other than the freedom from ever having to suffer a D-rank mission again, a flak jacket, and possibly your own team of genin in the future. Enko wrapped her arms around him from behind. Once Kakashi is up, we'll induct you as one of us. She smirked at the confused faces of the new Chunin. Sorry, kids. Jonin business. Sakura whined. You're taking Naruto away. Troublesome. Shikamaru muttered. Speaking of Kakashi, Sasuke said, shouldn't he be here to witness this? Tsunade nodded. His entire team made Chunin and one was made Jonin. This is unprecedented, and something he should be proud of. Unfortunately, I have other responsibilities. She gestured towards the giant stacks of paper on her desk. Lady Fifth, might I suggest having your aide check them for you while you attend to Hataki? Shikaka said. Shizen blinked while her mistress stroked her chin. Is that even allowed? I'm Hokage now, so I say it is. Tsunade rose from her chair, looked to her, and pointed at the desk while she stepped out. Please be a dear. Can I decline? No. She resisted the urge to laugh as her assistant took her place, something the new Jonin didn't bother sparing her. Shikamaru sighed before looking at the laughing boy. You're taking this weirdly well, you're not even gloating. Huh. Naruto tilted his head and hummed. I guess. I don't see a point. Everyone thought you were the dead last, and now you're ahead of us all, ironic. Sakura glanced from one of her teammates to the other. You're happy for him, right, Sasuke? Of course I am. The Uchiha frowned when he shot him a dirty look. Enko raised an eyebrow at the exchange before stepping back with the boy in her arms, making room for their new Hokage. Let's go wake up your lamer sensei and give him the good news, huh? She followed her out the door with the other two at her back. They traveled out of the Hokage residence and took off by rooftop to Kakashi's, Enko guiding the way. It took them no time at all to enter the unusually clean Hataki house. Instead of being taken care of in the hospital, he was being monitored by a select group of healing ninja. The Sharingan in his left eye made him a special case. All of them bowed and made space when they saw the world's greatest medical nin enter their patient's room. Naruto, it being his first time, let his eyes wander. This is Kakashi's place, huh? His gaze froze on the 2 framed images above his comatose head, specifically the one with 2 kids he didn't recognize. That's the fourth Hokage, Sakura said, lips pursed. Anko frowned. Everyone else in that picture is dead. He doesn't like talking about them, so don't bring it up, alright? She looked down at the still boy in her arms. They saw it the second time they were here. While Naruto stared at the image of Kakashi's old team, Sasuke stared at the one of theirs at its beginning. They took it some time after their first E-rank mission, and their sensei gave them each a framed copy to take home. He looked mopey, Sakura was smiling, Naruto was scowling, and Kakashi had his hands on both their heads like his sensei did on his and whoever the other boy was. Both of them were smiling alongside Sakura once. Now they were back to where they started. Tsunade held her hands over the silver-haired man's head for a few seconds before taking them back. Give it a while. 2 minutes passed until Kakashi's eyes fluttered open. Ugh! Lifting his upper body up, he felt everything ache. What the? He glanced at the 4 drip in his arm. Oh. He focused on the small crowd of ninja in his room. Hello? Blinking, he turned to the blonde woman. Lady Tsunade? Lady Hokage now, but yes. Kakashi-sensei. Sakura smiled. You'll never believe what happened. He closed his Sharingan eye, glanced at Naruto, and remembered what was behind him. What? Every genin on your team made chunin, Anko answered, pinching the whiskered boy's cheeks. But this little tyke jumped up to jonin. That's unprecedented. How long have I been out? Almost 2 weeks. Naruto held his hand out towards him. Hey! Chakra began to spiral in its center, to the surprise of all but Tsunade. You recognize this, right? The swirly death ball formed fully and perfectly in his palm. The Rasengan. He put his own hand beside his student's. Jiraiya taught it to you, huh? Chakra concentrated into his palm until a sphere just like his took shape. Counting Minato-sensei, that makes 4 people to ever master it. The 4th? Sakura, dumbfounded by the dual display, asked. His dissipated into nothing as his hand fell. Yeah. He'd be proud of you, Naruto. Like I care. Rather than shoving it into his face like he wanted to, the boy dispelled the deadly A-rank jutsu. As soon as I get my bearings, I'm going to treat all of you. Kakashi looked to the astounded yet annoyed Anko. Looks like we'll be inducting Naruto together. Sakura squinted at the two. What exactly is this induction you're talking about? Jonin business, they said in unison. Tsunade patted her on the shoulder before walking out. Best not to pry. Listen to the Hokage. Anko smirked at her perplexed face. Really do. Kakashi laid back in his bed. I'm afraid this doesn't concern you. Sasuke shook his head at her further agitation. Leave it be, Sakura. He averted his eyes from Naruto's cold gaze. We'll find out for ourselves when we make Jonin. There was a gleam in Kakashi's that told him he knew something happened, but he doubted he could explain. Team 7 was together again, and without a doubt, the strongest squad of their generation. By all means, each member should have been proud or happy. Something was off though. All of them could feel it, despite not knowing exactly what. Things were just turning out far too good to be true. If they let their guard down, they knew it would blow up in their faces. Chapter 32, All Grown Up. After Team 7's actual sensei woke up from his coma, Naruto went out with Anko, leaving the rest of the team behind. He insisted on alone time with his favorite sensei. Actually referring to her with those words made Kakashi wince. They were in the forest above Hokage Rock. It was a place away from any prying eyes or ears. Were certain things to occur, it would be in privacy. Why'd you want to hang out here of all places? She asked, following his lead. Naruto shrugged. I was here with the old man once. He looked up at a tree branch not too thick yet not too thin. Jumping, he took hold of it, and let his weight break it off. Wanna help me fish? Is that what you did? She picked out her own branch, jumped, and broke it off. He kept going to the stream in his memory. No. I asked him about my parents. She looked down. Let me guess, there's no use asking about them. He chuckled. His exact fucking words. Glancing back at her, his lips thinned into a line. Did you ask him about yours? When what little leads I had led to dead ends? Anko frowned. All I know is someone left me at the orphanage's doorstep with nothing but the clothes I was wearing and a name. She smiled at him, frowning. That was years ago. Don't worry about it. Inclining her head, she raised an eyebrow. So the super pervert taught you the Rasengan, huh? Her eyes narrowed. He didn't teach you any perverted things, did he? Just the Rasengan. It took me a while. She scoffed. Of course it did. You had to concentrate chakra to the point it was visible in a stable, swirling ball. I'd only be surprised you learned it in just 2 weeks if you didn't have the chakra reserves to fight a tailed beast. Beat a tailed beast. Naruto smirked while she giggled. It came in real handy against. Drifting off, he debated whether or not to tell her. Did Itachi go back for you? Her expression soured when his did. The older of the Uchiha asshole brothers didn't go back to get killed by me. Okay, what the hell happened? She stopped, making him do so too. The clone that was with me nearly cuddled the kid, and then the real you looks at him like he's the biggest piece of shit you've ever seen. He just might be. Why? He looked away for a second. Can we just spend time together and not worry about anything else? He grinned. I mean, I did make Jonin. Okay. She smiled and ruffled his hair. But if this blows up in your face, don't come crying to me about it. I won't. He resumed walking. She followed. So what did the Rasengan come in handy against? I'll tell you when we're cooking fish. They reached their destination a couple minutes after. Using the broken end of the stick like the point of a spear, they stabbed at the trout as they swam through the stream. A total of 6 fell to them. One gathered firewood and branches to hold up the fish while the other gathered stones. Both stood over a nearly complete fire lacking the roaring flames that made it so, their meals impaled on wood spikes embedded onto the ground by what was supposed to be their heating source. I've got it! Enko took wire from one of her pouches, broke a strand off, wrapped the thread around one of the branches the boy brought, bit down on the filament, threw the kindling onto the pit, and went through 4 hand seals. The boy watched a flame travel through the wire into the wood and ignite it. When are you gonna teach me that? You're not done with wind style just yet. She sat down. Still got a few tricks to show you. Like what? He joined her. Tell me what you used the Rasengan on, and I'll tell you. Staring into the fire, he titled his head. Do you know a Kimimaro? He glanced at her shocked face. Yeah, I used it on him. You were attacked by Orochimaru? She leaned in closer, making him lean back. You used a close-range jutsu on the human porcupine. He took a bunch of exploding clones like they weren't shit. What else was I supposed to do? What about Orochimaru? She got out of his space. I wouldn't exactly call it a fight, but Tsunade and Jiraiya used their summoning jutsu against his summoning jutsu. He was there to get some healing only the granny could give. The old man actually fucked him up real bad. How bad? Naruto shrugged. Something about his arms. He didn't use any jutsu except his weird body shit. He frowned. That asshole still got away. She relaxed. At least he didn't get you, and Kimimaro is dead. I thought he was, but he spit himself out like you did. He what? She put a hand to her cursed mark. That son of a bitch is gonna be impossible to kill now. He hummed. Just who is he? His eyes narrowed at the fire. I don't think I've ever met anyone like him. He looked down. I mean, I'd beaten a tailed beast and faced down Jonin, but I didn't really win that fight. Not even sure super exploding him with half my chakra would work. The same trick I used to land the Rasengan won't fool him twice. Kimimaro Kagaya. Really, Kimimaro or Kagaya would fit enough, he's the only member of the Kagaya clan left. Orochimaru and I picked him up when he was just a brat, and he looked up to him like he was some kind of god ever since. That Kekai Genkai of his made him deadly with taijutsu before he even got good at it. We taught him some ninjutsu, but he preferred playing to his strengths. So ranged ninjutsu is anyone's best bet. She nodded as she examined their cooking meals. Fire and lightning. You'd have to use some super strong wind to cut through him, or a massive amount of earth to crush him. Just forget about water. He held back a laugh. What is with you and water? It fucking sucks. She slid an arm over his shoulder and pulled him close, making his heart race. The hidden mole jutsu, the most basic of earth, is more useful than most of the advanced water jutsu. Enko-sensei, his lips parted. Yeah? She turned to see him, eyes half-lidded, inching his face closer to hers. Lifting a finger to stop him, she looked away. Naruto. I don't like you that way. The memory of their first moments together made her wince. I dress almost naked, flirt, and say and do crazy shit to feel better about myself. A sigh left her lips as she took her finger away from his. I like feeling desired and having people's attention. As a chick, I can just dress like this for that, but it doesn't actually make me happy because no one appreciates me for who I am. She looked down. I'm sorry. What I've been doing isn't right or healthy for either of us. He went to say something, stopped, brought his lips together into a line, and looked up to the sky. I don't know what to feel towards you or how to say it. Frowning, he closed his eyes. All I want to do is be close to you, but I'm scared of losing you, whether I'm too close or not close enough. His face turned red as the blood rushed up rather than down. Sometimes, a lot of times really, I want to be something more than just your student. As a guy, I can't help it. Maybe I'm still being stupid and thinking sex is love. The red left, leaving pink on his cheeks, when he opened his eyes. I understand exactly what it's like to not be happy because people don't appreciate you. His blue met her brown before he smiled. But I appreciate you for being who you are, Enko-sensei. Her vision began to blur. I appreciate you for who you are too, you perverted brat. She pulled him even closer and wrapped her other arm around him. I'm scared of losing you. Laughing, tears began streaming down her cheeks. Which is why I flirt back. He hugged her back. And why you let me play with your boobs? It was the one time. She couldn't help but laugh. You still did it. Glancing at their now crispy fish, he raised an eyebrow. I think our food is done. He let go as she did the same. Can we still sleep in the same bed? She wiped her tears on her sleeve, pinched his cheek with one hand, and grabbed a makeshift skewer with the other. You are my cuddly wuddly. Shifting the roasted fish towards her, she took a bite out its head. What? He laughed before grabbing his own and digging into its side. Her hand shifted from pinching his cheek to patting the top of his head. My cuddly wuddly. Swallowing, she held back a giggle at his blushing face. Are you? I am. He chewed and gulped. Are you? I am. The rest of their little camp date was filled with nothing but wholesome warmth. Much of what most people would consider inappropriate tension was gone. As soon as they finished eating, they traveled back to the Mitarashi residence. Both rested on the same bed as other with neither lustful nor improper thoughts. It was like their first night, yet far more innocent. You know. Enko drifted off, putting her hand over the cursed mark on her neck. I actually tried the same thing on Orochimaru. You. She rolled her eyes. I told you he used to be handsome. Nuzzling his whiskered cheek, she giggled. Anyway, he thought it was adorable, so he never stopped until. Holy shit. She frowned. I was doing the same thing he did to me to you. You're still nothing like him. He nuzzled her back. Naruto, I wouldn't have ever left him if he didn't throw me away. I've done a lot of terrible things. Just because I returned to the village doesn't change that. Pretty sure I'm only behaving well because you're here. He blinked. Really? Really? She blushed. I'm weak to praise and affection. She took a deep breath and sighed. It's pathetic, but I'm the kind of person who needs other people. Everyone needs or wants someone. You're just used to only having one major person in your life, right? He smiled. Try to make more friends. I'm sure you'll probably get along with Kakashi if you keep training us. You'll have to live with it otherwise. Chuckling, he closed his eyes. I'm the same way, if you haven't noticed. For the longest time, the old man was the only one I had, and I lost it when he died. I don't want you to either. You're not gonna die anytime soon, but I get it. She yawned and shut her eyes as well. I thought you wanted to take her with you. If there was a chance of that happening, you just directed her away from it. Or are you changing your mind? He frowned. I don't want her to come with me if she's just going to be the Haku to my Zabuza, and I don't want her to fall apart if I leave. His eyes opened. I want her to be happy. I want her to be better. You wanted the same thing for yourself once. And I've got it. No more feeling like I'm nothing, no more being conflicted, and no more looking for validation in other people. His frown shifted into a smile. What I wanted was just down a different road. The chances of her opposing you are greater if you encourage her to mingle with the gnats. Even if she does, I'll let her go. What happened to being done with idiots who put vermin above people they actually know? He nearly scoffed. I was barely done processing a fuck ton of grief. I went from sad to angry, and to happy when I came back here. Do you go through with everything you say when you're out of your mind? I am never out of my mind, yet I do go through with everything I say. You getting sealed was inevitable then. The tailed beast growled to no avail. Its jailer closed his eyes and fell asleep, contented got it back for calling him a hormonal idiot. Neither was wrong on their assessment of the other. They knew each other better than anyone else. In the future they were both choosing, they'd be the only one either had for a very long time. The morning after had them waking up to the sound of a tweeting bird. It seemed to be standing directly by the window still. Only one of them knew what it was. While there were many possibilities for complications when it came to a carrier pigeon notification system, they were less prone so inside of the village. Ah fuck! Anko reached out, grabbed the handle of her blinders, and pushed them aside. Kid, we've gotta go. He lifted his upper body to squint at the bird. What the hell is that? Notice for Jonin only, which means shit is about to get real or we're changing some bullshit regulation no one follows anyway. She slipped out of bed with a yawn. He rolled off and on to his feet. Is this because of Granny? He stretched as he followed her out. Probably. If this is about the flak jackets, I couldn't give less of a fuck. The greens too on the nose and the gray of her generation made our shinobi look like bootleg samurai. They left the Mitarashi residence through the yard, taking the rooftops. On the way over, they saw flickers of other would-be jonin. All were headed to the Hokage residence by the accursed academy. The younger jonin followed the older through the complex into a meeting room. Seating cushions were arranged before a lineup of clan heads and the elders with the current Hokage sitting at the center. Kakashi, back in his basic jonin outfit, raised a hand in greeting from his seat. Welcome to your first briefing, Naruto. That's... A man with the signature blank eyes of the Hyuga punched his hand into an open palm and inclined his head, a gesture two other men with the same eyes mimicked. It's an honor, Uzumaki. Your match against Niji was brilliant. The boy blushed, which made both his sensei laugh. Thanks, Hohito Hyuga. The eldest with sunken eyes said. One with the second-most lines on his face cleared his throat. Iroha Hyuga. The youngest lifted his head. Ko Hyuga. A flash of recognition sparked in his eyes, but he said nothing. Right. Naruto sat down left of Anko, who sat herself left of Kakashi. This is weird. He whispered to her, noticing all the glances aimed his way by the others. And here I thought you loved attention too. She snickered. I'm not used to this. She patted his head. There. Tsunade cleared her throat when the last of the jonin arrived. I have called you all here to inform you of vital information relayed to us by an envoy of the sand. Her gaze steeled as most of theirs did. The fourth Kazekage was found dead rotting in the desert. He's apparently been dead since before the start of the Chunin exams. Orochimaru is expected to be responsible. Lady Fifth, one of the lesser jonin said. That sounds like a lie to escape reprisal. I know. Regardless if it's a lie or not, the sand has surrendered completely and requested an alliance. Danzo said. Koharu inclined her head. Lady Hokage, guided by our counsel, has agreed. Hamura adjusted his glasses. To compensate for the losses sustained by our hiatus, missions will resume and be given more frequently for some time. He ignored the relieved look on some of their faces. The hiatus will remain in place for Genin and select Chunin. Tsunade said. The academy will remain closed in the meantime until finances are stabilized. You are all dismissed. That's it? Naruto asked his favorite sensei as they all began to rise. Anko nodded. A little column real shit, and a little column bullshit occasionally pop up, like this one. She put a hand on his shoulder before he could walk towards the exit. What's up? He glanced around to find a few other jonin staying as well, most which he could recognize. Kakashi walked over. None of us have missions right now, so today's the perfect day to induct you as one of us. What the hell does that mean? He looked to the exit at other jonin still leaving. And why is it just you guys? Guy, grinning, pointed his thumb at himself. We are the elite of the elite. With his other hand, he gestured towards the lineup of Leaf Village officials. Since the founding of the Leaf Village, there have been jonin worth distinguishing from other jonin, those with abilities that or near the level of Kage. Danzo said. Tsunade nodded with a smile. There are no special privileges to being considered as such, other than the respect of your peers. Your victory over the One-Tail and performance against an enemy that bested me proves you're worthy of the distinction, though. Welcome to the big leagues, kid. Asuma took a drag from his cigarette. Kurenai smirked at the growing red on the boy's face. You'll be fine. Still haven't told me what it really is. He looked down, doing his best to ignore their appreciative stares. Tsunade looked to Anko. Bring him around at 6 p.m. She focused on her charge. Congratulations, Naruto. With that, the rest began to leave. The boy, eager to get away from the strange looks, was one of the first out, followed by his favorite sensei. She followed him through the halls of the Hokage residence, and out the entrance. Hateful, ignorant eyes belonging to civilians focused on just one of them as they went down the mid-morning streets. That's better. He took a deep breath and sighed. She shot him a look. You're more comfortable with people hating you than liking you? Kinda? He smiled when she patted his head. Don't seem to be uncomfortable with me. I don't know these fucking people. In reality, he didn't want the other ninja to like him. It'd make facing them far more of an internal ordeal than external. Better they remain nameless, and wary for him to cut down with less thought. That was how he was confident he could slaughter almost the entire village, save the children. His tailed beast wouldn't shut up about it if the positive treatment continued either. Anko glanced at him. Where are we going? To Ichiraku's. I haven't had a fresh bowl there in over a month. Why don't we get dango? He squinted at her. That was the one thing we ate for almost the entire time we trained together. He scoffed. I made Jonin. Can't we have what I want for once? She deflated. Okay. Her mood lightened a little when he led her by the hand. They continued on with little words. Neither cared at all about how strange a sight they made. To some of the ninja watching, it looked unmistakably like an excited child leading his tired mother to his favorite place in the world. One's particular state of dress cast doubts about that in the rest's minds. The banners of the ramen place the other would call paradise were in reach. The boy almost jumped onto the counter when he walked past them. Hey! He grinned as the two people always manning the kitchen jumped. I'm home. In the corner of his eye, he spotted a familiar face nearly choking on his ramen. Irika-sensei? With wide eyes, the Chunin swallowed. Naruto? His voice conveyed his worry even as he smiled. I haven't seen you in over a month. Neither have we. I am said in the same tone as his teachers. Tucci glanced at the boy from the corner of his eye. Are you gonna say it? Naruto cleared his throat. A large serving of miso ramen with roasted pork fillet. He sat in the stool next to his first sensei. Coming right up. Smiling, the cook got to work. Anko sat in the one to their student's left. I'll have what he's having. I am froze at the sight of her. What's Ro? The other sensei blinked. Anko? She turned to face him. Hey, no scar guy? It's Irika. He glanced from his grinning former student to her. I never heard how exactly you knew each other. She trained me for the final round of the Chunin exams. If I never saw her use the explosive shadow clone jutsu, I wouldn't have been able to stop the one-tail. Anko ruffled his hair. Still can't believe you figured that out on your own. Ayam pursed her lips. Irika told us what happened. Her eyes held nothing but warmth. Are you okay, Naruto? Better than ever. He glanced from his doubtful-looking academy teacher to her. Really, I am. Focusing on the man, he smiled. Konohamaru snapped me out of it. The disbelief left his face in favor of a smile. I'm glad. You wouldn't believe how worried he was. His own turned into a frown. Is he all right? He looked down. I acted like a jackass. He's doing just fine, and I'm sure he'd love to see you again. Irika returned to slurping his noodles. What kind of training did you do with Naruto? Ayam asked the other woman, barely restrained hostility in her tone. Anko tilted her head, blinked and smirked. Better question is what kind of training I didn't do with him. She held back laughter at the other sensei choking while the other woman twitched. You dirty bitch. Ayam. That is no wa. Tucci turned and froze. Oh. The boy pouted. I already tried having sex with her, but she turned me down. He looked from one woman to the other. Please get along. Earnest sadness crept into his voice. I don't want to see you fight. His blood rushed to his face when his favorite sensei draped an arm over his shoulder to pull him close, and the first girl he ever knew began patting his head. There. Anko shushed. Ayam's vision blurred. Little Naruto, is that you? I'm not a baby. He whined. I'm a ninja. And we're very proud of you. Tucci set the bowl and chopsticks down in front of him. Here you go. He didn't look at his half-naked companion. I'll have yours in just a bit. Anko looked down at the red-faced brat breaking his chopsticks. Are you gonna tell them the good news? What good news? Ayam asked. Naruto glanced at their curious faces before swirling the noodles in his bowl. I made Jonin. Iruka, learning from his mistakes, properly swallowed his mouthful. You what? He looked to the grinning face of the other elite ninja. He blew up a tailed beast, she laughed. Did you think he'd make just Chunin? Drifting off, he focused on his uncharacteristically uncaring former student. He glanced at him while he lifted his chopsticks to his lips. Yeah? Shouldn't you be excited? He slurped down some of his noodles. I guess? Shrugging, he pinched up more. After everything I've been through, after everything I've done, it doesn't mean anything to me. Huh. He paused for a moment before smiling. You've grown a lot, Naruto. Feels like just yesterday I brought you here to make up for ruining your fight with Sasuke. He blinked when the boy's expression soured. Ayam frowned. Are you two butting heads again? I thought you were finally getting along after coming home from Wave. Don't ask, either of them are saying anything about it to anyone. Anko shook her head just as her bowl was set down. Shame, Tucci said. You two really seemed like honest friends. He flinched when the boy's eyes narrowed. Can we talk about something else? He looked up from his breakfast meal. Grandma Tsunade accepted an alliance offer from the sand. Iruka furrowed his brow. Naruto, just because you're a Jonin now doesn't mean you can disrespect the Hokage. He tilted his head. Wait, what? Anko broke her chopsticks in half. Supposedly, the Kazekage was assassinated before the Chunin exams actually started. They think Orochimaru did it, but I wouldn't put it behind the top players in the sand deciding Raza fucked up too big. Wouldn't be the first time a Kazekage was assassinated under extremely suspicious circumstances. He gathered up the last of his noodles while his former student made a curious look. Every Kazekage since the foundation of the Sand Village has been assassinated. Although, the third just went missing during the Third Shinobi World War. Chances are they just didn't leave a body that time. Ayam shuddered. What is wrong with those people? I understand it's politics, but you can't just attack someone and try to be friends. Can't decide to kill your leader and blame everything on them either. Orochimaru could have actually done it for shits and giggles. She scooped up some noodles. Still doesn't mean what they did is alright, but what does holding a grudge get us when the other villages think we're both weak? Slurping them down, she murmured in delight. This is good. Iruka frowned. Politically speaking, it's the most advantageous move on both our parts to ally with the other for now. He put his lips to the edge of the bowl and began downing what was left. If what they brought for the invasion was their best, they're nothing we can't handle. Naruto said. Heard they use puppets, but I didn't see any except that one genin used them. They were used in the village. I helped against some. I don't think the forces at the arena were meant to actually win but stall for time. Anko swallowed another mouthful of ramen. Probably aimed to kill the morale of our elite by taking care of the old man first. Didn't save them. Naruto scoffed. They need us way more than we need them. He slurped up and swallowed a few chopsticks worth of noodles. I wonder how Gaara is doing. The Jinchuriki? She blinked at his nod. He's alive? He shrugged. Both of us broke a lot of things in our fall. Could be he bled out internally or something. Frowning, he stared in his bowl. I hope he didn't. She almost laughed. Both of you were itching to kill someone in the preliminaries and almost did. We were a lot alike then and still kind of are, but I want him to be better too. He moved his chopsticks through the broth again. Ayam smiled. That's really sweet of you, Naruto. She tilted her head. But what happened in the preliminaries of what now? Nose Scar didn't tell you? Anko grinned as her charge froze. He groaned. Please don't. The ramen cook squinted at him. What happened? She looked to his head-shaking academy teacher. Iruka sighed. First, he showed up without a lot of ski. I brought back Granny Tsunade. Naruto pointed a thumb at himself. She got her ass handed to her by some bone guy, and I fucked him up with a move the pervy Jiraiya showed me while he stopped that giant snake asshole Orochimaru from giving him a hickey. What? The civilians and Chunin said. Anko nodded in realization. Had a feeling he was the enemy she was talking about. Kimimaro isn't someone you can fight without intel. You fought against Orochimaru? Iruka yelled. The pervy sage, Jiraiya, did, and it sucked until Granny got her shit together. He focused back on his ramen bowl. If I wasn't gonna make Jonin for the one tail, I was definitely going to make it for doing better than her against Kimimaro. That's really impressive. He smiled and patted his old student on the head, making him blush. Enko patted the boy's back. Told you I'd make you a flea on sight level hottie, and that's exactly what you're gonna be. Naruto glanced from his old sensei to his favorite civilians. I never told any of you this, but He looked down at his knees. I'm grateful for everything. Looking up, he smiled at the ramen cooks. This place has made me happy for as long as I could remember. He turned to Iruka with a laugh. When you took me here all those years ago, that was one of the happiest moments of my life. They watched in silence as the child that used to throw angry, violent tantrums happily slurp his favorite fatty food away. His favorite sensei joined him with her own bowl, not wanting good food to go cold or be wasted. When they were finished, they paid for their meals and left with happy goodbyes, leaving the three of them to their shock. Little baby Naruto came back, Ayame said, tears finally leaving her eyes. Iruka couldn't help but join her in crying. He was the worst in his class, and now he's doing the best out of them all. Tucci took a deep breath and sighed. Just seems like yesterday I was trying to save that kid from the rain. He saluted as he let himself weep. Thank you for saving my business from destruction and closing. A few streets down, Naruto blinked. Did we just tell high-security secrets to civilians? If they don't tell you to keep your mouth shut, you can tell anyone about it, Enko said. Oh. He looked down at the dirt road. You know, I thought ramen was love once too. What changed? He smiled. I had some awful instant. They laughed as they kept on walking, ignoring or accepting the looks they got for it. This was, unknowingly to one, the dying throes of their precious time together. Only a few more loose ends were left to resolve before the inevitable goodbye. Chapter 33 Underlying Tensions. The forest by a stream Naruto trained in during the Chunin exam break was a welcome sight. Its greenery he so thoroughly abused was visibly healing, short patches of grass and sapling trees where his victims were. While some of his old marks were missing, it delighted him to see many lingering. This was likely the last time he'd ever be there. He insisted they go so he could reminisce as well as practice. You said you'd tell me a few wind-style tricks the other day if I told you what I used the Rasengan on but never did. Enko raised 2 fingers. There's the breakthrough and great breakthrough jutsu, but they're only really good for forcing back a fireball, supercharging it, or pushing back your enemy. Pretty redundant for you with that Gale Palm. They were joined by 2 more. Vacuum Blast and Vacuum Blast Barrage are sweeping blades of pure air. With enough control, you can swirl a vacuum blast to kill multiple people at once. Vacuum Blast Barrage is several of them concentrated on a single point. It's meant to ensure a super tough enemy is dead or break a super strong defense. Her pinky joined the other 4. Then there's the Vacuum Sphere Jutsu, which is shooting beams of air from your mouth. She lowered her hand. I used it against Orochimaru in the Forest of Death. I want to learn that one. He smiled and began bouncing. She giggled before bringing her hands together to form the hand seals. Rat, rabbit, dog, tiger, and bird. Taking a deep breath, she looked up to the sky. A cylindrical collection of concentrated air shot from her lips. 5 more left until she stopped to look back down. Like the vacuum blade jutsu, you're going to want to infuse your breath with chakra. The key is shape transformation, which is probably nothing to you now that you know the Rasengan. About that. He went still, looking down at his palm. Pervy Sage said it was used with just normal chakra. Do you think I can make it wind? Jiraiya would have done something like that by now if it were that easy. It's already one of the most chakra control intensive jutsu out there. Imagine how complicated making it elemental would be. I'll try it some other time then. He tilted his head. What were the signs again? Rat, rabbit, dog, tiger, and bird. Nodding, he whispered them under his breath before following through with his hands. He took a deep breath, turned his head back, and spat several uneven beams of wind into the sky. Just a few more, and I think I'll have it. His favorite sensei applauding him triggered a blush. What about the others? He nearly rolled his eyes at her raised eyebrow. I know, knowing a lot of jutsu doesn't make you a good shinobi. What's the rush? It's not like you have another duel in a month. Ever since my first real mission in Wave, I haven't had the chance to really rest. Something's always come up. That's why I want to learn all I can now. He pouted at her unchanging expression. Fine, I'll just practice the vacuum sphere jutsu. She patted his head. Good boy. She stepped back as he followed through with his words. You know, you were a bit off before you left. He frowned after the last of the wind beams left his lips. I was still dealing with some stuff. That's fine. Just. Are you alright? More than alright, Anko-sensei. He stopped mid-seal. You don't have to watch me. A smile formed on his lips. Go hang out with Hana or any of the other jonin. She hummed. I guess your teammates are why, not him. He scowled, eyes turning red. You're my sensei. He blushed and looked down as her face scrunched in confusion. Anyone but him. He already got almost 2 weeks with you. That's more than enough. Her lips parted, froze, and shut as they curved into a smile. You're cute when you're jealous. I'm not jealous. The red of his eyes faded back to blue. He doesn't deserve you, and he'll hurt you, if you get close enough. Is that what Itachi told you? The smile on her face disappeared when he stayed silent. Was it really that bad? She scoffed at his commitment to it. Holy shit, really? Please promise me you'll keep your distance from him. Not like I really know him, but alright, if it helps you keep calm. I promise I'll keep my distance from your swirly-eyed ex-boyfriend. I'm not. He shook his head before going back to practicing his jutsu. Anko formed the tiger seal. I'll be back in a few hours. She disappeared in a flicker, leaving him to his own devices. While he did want to spend as much time as possible with her, he didn't want her to be too attached anymore either. It was better for both of them to move on. That wasn't something he could directly say, but it was something he could insinuate and push her towards. He couldn't let his teammate become her precious person or vice versa, fearing the ramifications of such a relationship. Killing him was a thought that crossed his mind far more than once ever since he learned the truth from the elder brother. Chances were he'd get an opportunity to settle things between them forever before he left. A good part of him was counting on it. Both freshly made Chunin in Team 7 left their sensei's home in favor of their own after he began to nod off. He at least got an update on the major happenings of the village before then. Thinking it prudent to let him rest, they went to their substitute sensei's home and rang her doorbell for no one to answer it. She typically slept in, so fetching her was the first thing they usually did every morning since she took their actual sensei's place. Think we should check? Sakura asked. Sasuke shrugged before setting his foot on the wall of the building. May as well. That isn't necessary. Kakashi, standing on a nearby tree branch and reading his favorite book, said, I saw Anko and Naruto this morning. Sakura looked up to him. Where? She raised an eyebrow. Wait, should you even be up? Probably not, but duty calls. He walked down the tree over to them. We were briefed by Lady Hokage. The Leaf is now in an alliance with the Sand, who suspect their recently found dead Kazekage was assassinated by Orochimaru. Conveniently, it seems to have taken place before the Chunin exams began. Sakura scoffed. An attack on the scale they made had to take more than a month of planning. Nothing we can do about it. Politics, you see. Better we make peace, for now. Only Jonin were briefed? Sasuke asked. He nodded. Major organizational changes and political happenings go to us first, and anyone else that needs to know before trickling down. If it's information thought best confidential, it goes to just us or whomever the Hokage and the council think appropriate. I smiled. Don't take it personally. Well, we're not. Are you going to train us? The white-haired man almost twitched. Is that why you came here? I didn't think she'd be a good teacher, but Anko-sensei actually knows a lot of things, Sakura said. She tilted her head at his frozen expression. Are you jealous? Why would I be jealous? I've been teaching all three of you since you got out of the academy. She squinted and leaned towards her teammate. He's jealous. I know, Sasuke whispered back. And here I was about to train you both into Jonin. Kakashi took a deep breath and sighed. I guess I'll go steal Guy's kids, cheer him up by playing into our eternal rivalry. Okay, you're the best sensei we could ever have, Kakashi-sensei. Now can you train us? Pretty please? She wrapped a hand over her fist beneath her chin, fluttering her lashes for added effect. When he turned to the other Chunin, she did so as well. Sasuke twitched. Pretty please? Pretty please what? Kakashi inclined his head. Come on. Pretty please, Kakashi? Pretty please, Kakashi-I? Gritting his teeth, he forced his eyes shut. Pretty please, Kakashi-sensei? Okay. I smiled. What exactly did Anko teach you too? Mud wall, rock fist, And I guess I can thank her for Kurenai-sensei teaching me the shredding sakura flowers jutsu, Sakura said. He chuckled. Awfully punny of her. He looked from her blushing face to the stoic one of his other student. Just the thunderbolt jutsu. I've been refining my shape transformation with it and the chidori. Good on her for showing some restraint. I was worried for a second she taught one of you something as ridiculous as the shuriken shadow clone jutsu. Let's get going. He turned and started walking towards the nearest practice field. Drifting off, Sakura looked down. Did Naruto seem different to you? Kakashi frowned beneath his mask. Somewhat. I think he's finally settling down, but it's too early to say. I did just wake up. He glanced in the direction of his other, silent student. There was nothing any of them could do. A stamp slamming onto a piece of paper echoed through the Hokage's office. It was an ever-present sound in that accursed room. Even when there was no paperwork on the desk itself, there was always paperwork waiting to be placed on it. The first female Hokage tried to pawn it off on her assistant, but she went missing that morning, without a doubt trying to make her fulfill her responsibility. Umbu agents were sent to retrieve her alive and unharmed. Eternally weary was the head bent to look over paperwork. You could have at least read over them for me, Shizun. She put the stamped document onto the growing pile to her left. That would have made this so much easier. The door creaking open made her pause mid-stamp slam. Danzo stepped inside. Lady Tsunade. The shinobi of darkness himself graces me with his presence. She stamped the document. I knew it was a matter of time with the way Sarutobi-sensei talked about you. I wish to discuss the matter of Naruto Uzumaki. Don't think he's ready to be jonin? Actually, I find him more than suited for the position. The responsibilities are lost on him, but he is hardly unique in that regard. Then what is there to discuss? She raised an eyebrow. There are certain people close to him that have a profound influence on his mental state. Perhaps the greatest of them all is Anko Mitarashi, Orochimaru's former student. While her loyalty shows no signs of faltering, his feelings may mirror hers if she were to become discontent. Are you suggesting I bribe her? I doubt Mitarashi has any interest in money. These are perilous times, Lady Tsunade. We cannot risk our Jinchuriki on missions, and by extension, we cannot risk Mitarashi. You have been informed of what happened when Hiruzen died, correct? She nodded. I am aware, and I understand where your concern is coming from. Naruto isn't the type of person to accept coddling, however. Frowning, she let go of her stamp and folded her hands together. In fact, I fear trying to confine him to the village will spur him to leave. I understand. At the very least, Mitarashi should be kept in the village's vicinity. She rarely seeks out missions or is given any, so neither will suspect anything. That might be wisest course of action. I'll take your words into consideration. She watched the man her sensei look down on so much close leave and closed the door behind him. Was that it? Focusing back on her latest document, she scoffed. You had headaches over that, Sarutobi-sensei? It was a simple matter he needed to relay his thoughts on. He would never approach her if he thought she wouldn't at least consider his proposals. If she didn't or did something he thought worse for the village, he would take matters into his own hands. The third often worked with him because it was less difficult than working against. When Anko came back to their training area, Naruto was blowing perfect beams of destruction into the sky. It was also time for lunch, so they decided to go out for dango. The boy was somewhat sick of it, but he wanted to appease his precious sensei. Her squeal of happiness made the increasingly middling experience of eating sweet dumplings more than worth enduring. Both sat next to each other on a table in her favorite dango shop, munching away. He swallowed his mouth full of sweetness. So what did you do? Duptu aha. She finished chewing and gulped. Dropped in on Hana, worked out for a bit, and went to Kakashi's, but he wasn't there. Kakashi's? Thought I'd drop by. He's probably with the Uchiha and Pink though. Really should be taking it easy after being in a coma. The man's got a stamina problem. Moving the skewer to position the remaining dumpling by her mouth, she raised an eyebrow at his twitching face. What kind of stamina problem? She blinked, giggled, and bit the ball of doughy goodness off. The kind a transplanted Sharingan gives you, she said, sweet in her teeth. I hate those stupid eyes. He raised a skewer of his own to tear from. Naruto, is that you? A vaguely familiar voice behind him asked. He turned and saw a silver-haired young man walking over. You're that one guy. He tilted his head as he chewed. Kabuto. The medic Nin sat down on the other side of the table. I heard you've been making waves. He turned to the woman. Anko Midarashi, right? Holding out his hand, he smiled. I'm a student of Hiraku's. She flinched at that name before swallowing. I know. Bad blood? He took his hand back. What would you call running off with your bats hit crazy sensei after helping him use his best friend as a guinea pig? That's bad. That's a fucking understatement. She scoffed. Naruto put a hand on her shoulder, alleviating her self-aggravation. Is there any reason you swung by? I have a sweet tooth. Kabuto rubbed the back of his head and looked to the approaching waiter. I'll have what they're having. Focusing back on the boy, he leaned over the table. Is it true what they say? He whispered, eyes narrowing. You're a jonin now? His posture went back to neutral when he, grinning, nodded. Wow. I really was wrong about you. He glanced at some of the staring or peeking customers. A shame they still think the same, huh? I became a ninja for my own sake. He waved it off with his free hand. The medic Nin spied the look of concern in Anko's eyes without looking directly at her. His lord was counting on him holding on to those sentiments. Midarashi seemed to have latched on to the boy from what he saw and heard. While they could retrieve him with little issue using the right words, she would never allow him to fall into Orochimaru's clutches, knowing full well what he intended to do. Anko drank several gulps from her cooling cup of tea. His entire team made chunin. Mine failed to even reach the final stage. Kabuto chuckled. Can't say I'm surprised though, we're not exactly the most proactive bunch, and your team has a prodigal Uchiha with Kakashi the copy ninja of all people teaching you. Please! Naruto almost spat on his dango. Sasuke's a one-trick pony, like every other Kekai Genkai loser. He pointed his thumb at the person to his side. Anko-sensei is the one who really taught me. I thought you and Sasuke were friends. He looked down at his skewers. So did I. Humming, the silver-haired young man tilted his head while Anko's concern grew. What about the other one? What was her name again? Sakura. He shrugged. She's alright, but she's in too deep with that swirly-eyed douchebag. Guess it's a good thing you're all promoted. Doesn't seem like you'd work well together ever again. An awkward silence spread over the table. The waiter set down plates of dango skewers and tea for Kabuto, who joined them in quietly partaking. Everyone close to Naruto aside from Anko was estranged, distant, or dead. While he likely heard more than enough tales of Orochimaru's wickedness, they wouldn't be enough to dissuade him if he thought the risk was well worth the reward, and vengeance was the sweetest prize for a wronged man. It made retrieving both him and Sasuke a difficult prospect though. When they finished, they went their separate ways from him, returning to their training area. Almost all of Team 7 was walking through the streets of the Leaf Village under the auburn sky, guided by their sensei. Passersby stared, raised eyebrows, or shrugged at the sight of them. Only the team leader could witness the gawking because he blindfolded his two faithful students. They protested at first, but he insisted it was for a matter of the utmost importance. Holding the possibility of learning new jutsu over their heads also worked wonders. Can you at least tell us what this is about? Sakura asked. Sasuke shook his head. If he was willing to tell us, he would have said why the moment he held out the blindfolds. Relax. Kakashi patted their shoulders. We're almost there. Sakura huffed. Almost where? The place where I'm going to undo your blindfolds. You'll understand everything when we're inside. There was peace and silence, save for some grumbling, after that. A fancy door they couldn't see but could hear creaked open for them. Like the blinded children they were, their sensei nudged them into the exclusive, vibrantly crimson establishment. A fancy-dressed man behind the counter parted his lips to say something but was silenced with a shake of the jonin's head. He led them down into the center of the first floor where others were. You're on time for once, Kakashi. Asuma, leaning on a nearby wall, said. Kurenai smiled at the confused faces on the blindfolded chunin. He couldn't be late for this. No one would ever let him live it down, a sitting Genma said with a smirk. Rado sat with his chin held up by his palm opposite of his partner. Seems like the man of the hour is going to be late instead. Huh! Sakura tilted her head. Kurenai-sensei and Asuma-sensei? Jiraiya, off by himself in his own seat, chuckled at them. Not that I'm complaining, but is that really necessary? We didn't really do that back in my day. The times change, old man. Some sat on top of a table. She turned to the man properly in one of its seat. Isn't that right, Aburain? Yes. Chibi deadpanned. A grin spread across her face. Have I mentioned how much I love that about you? Precisely 5 times. 6 now. The sound of the door practically slamming open interrupted what was an awkward conversation to most listeners. I don't get it, Naruto said as he walked in. Why this fancy-ass place? Why not? Enko led him deeper. Kakashi undid the blindfolds and turned around to wave at his student. Surprise! Naruto raised an eyebrow at him before looking at all the Jonin and clan heads. I still don't get it. He tilted his head. This some kind of secret club or something? His eyes narrowed at his former friend. If it's for Jonin, why are they here? This is the first time an entire squad of Genin has made Chunin on the same exam and one was promoted to Jonin at the same time. Shikaku at the Inoshikacho table said. Choza nodded. It's a special occasion, so we've all decided to let in more outsiders than usual. Sakura, looking around to get a grip on her surroundings, gaped at all the clan heads. She focused on her sensei. Where exactly are we? We are the elite of the elite. Everyone here, considering power, skill, and reputation, is a candidate for Hokage. Kakashi elaborated. Sasuke felt an anxious pit grow in his chest. And you're inducting Naruto as one of you. The kid blew up a fucking tailed beast, some said, checking her nails. Only a few of us could have taken on a thing like that. Raising a shaking finger at the blonde, Sakura struggled to find words. He's beyond most of you, she whined when her sensei nodded. Save me, Jiraiya, Hayashi, maybe Shibi, maybe Choza, maybe Shikaku, maybe Enko and Guy. Kakashi looked at his fellow Jonin, some of which were irritated by his statement. Speaking of, where is he? Enko crossed her arms and scoffed. Maybe? I trained the kid. So did I, you're not special. He kept looking at them for answers. Asuma shook his head. With Lee, Lady Hokage said there was a 50-50 chance he might die during surgery. Bushy brows. Naruto frowned. It's tragic, but that is a risk all shinobi may face in this life. Hayashi said, standing in front of an occupied chair. Before the end, we must do all we can and all we wish to. He glanced behind his shoulder. Isn't that right? The occupant stood up and walked out. Why, yes. Barely holding herself together, she moved towards the main attraction of the event. Wait, Sakura said, eyes widening alongside Sasuke's. What are you? The blood rushed to the boy's whiskered cheeks at the sight of a pink-faced girl. Hinata? And Naruto. She struggled to meet his eyes with her own. What? He raised a hand to rub the back of his head. Hey. She began tapping her fingers together. Meeting his gaze, she felt the eyes of everyone watching on her too. Why you've become the strongest out of everyone in our class? She forced out. Thanks. You look a lot better now that your wounds are healed. Her heart soared thanks to his concern. Naruto. Her face turned beet red. He stepped forward, putting their faces inches away from each other, and put a hand on her forehead. Are you okay? Her falling back, eyes closed, made him blink. Hinata? He caught her by the shoulders before she could hit the ground. Damn kid, Asuma said, cigarette stuck in his grinning teeth. The fuck did I do? Kurenai sighed and walked over. It was too much for her. She took her surrogate daughter off his hands. Hayashi closed his eyes. There is more work to be done as far as her tolerance for pressure is concerned. 2 young cuts of meat from opposite sexes just oozing blood to attract each other, but neither can take the heat needed to cook them into a complementing set. Some shook her head. Shibi murmured. That is a colorful yet accurate metaphor. Delicious too. Choza raised his fists into the air. Bring on the food. And Noichi face-bombed. That's what my daughter won't shut up about. Troublesome. Shikaku muttered. Kakashi smiled at his red-faced wayward student while Enko, patting the boy on the back, snickered. I've never seen you like this, Naruto. He laughed at his glare. Sakura giggled, a hue of pink on her own cheeks. You've never looked as cute as you are right now. Can we just get on with this? Naruto averted his gaze. Jiraiya chuckled a little too gleefully, attracting the narrow blank eyes of Hayashi. Do you have any idea how he's been since the Chunin exams? His smile held nothing but warmth. That's the first time I've seen him look so innocent in a while. They all picked out their tables. The Inoshikacho trio remained in theirs, reminiscing about their own inductions. Hayashi retrieved his daughter and sat down at an empty table with her in his arms. Kurenai and Asuma, doing their best to ignore everyone's suggestive looks, were together. Shibi remained oblivious or willfully ignorant of Tsume's one-sided flirting. Jiraiya was joined by Genma and Rado, wanting to hear tales about the fourth Hokage in his youth. To Naruto's displeasure, he was sharing one with his team, which was almost saved by Anko's presence. Okay. Kakashi glanced from one of his quarreling students to the other. Why does one of you look like he wants to kill the other? Anko rolled her eyes. Good luck getting either of them to talk. They haven't said a word to each other since Naruto came back. Sakura looked down at the table. He looked to the silent boy in question. It's that bad, huh? Seriously, don't ask. Anko shook her head. They're not saying shit. The well-dressed waiters came out and began taking their orders. Both former delinquents weren't interested in most of the items on the menu, so they just ordered what closely met their favorite foods. Sasuke went with okaka and tomato onigiri. Sakura went for fancy seared tuna instead of sweets to try impressing non-existent onlookers, and Kakashi requested salt-broiled sori. Other than their chewing, their table was silent as most others had chatting. Anko stood up with her plate of gyoza. Excuse me for a second. She walked over to the Hyuga table where Hinata still slept, sat down in one of the chairs, and narrowed her eyes at the clan head. What are your intentions with Naruto? Hayashi looked up from his bowl of tempura with a blank expression on his face. I should be asking him what his intentions are with my daughter. Good luck getting a straight answer out of him for that. If you try and make it political, you'll ruin any chance for them both, though. I'm not. Hinata has been excluded from succession, and is free to marry whomever she pleases. She held down laughter. Marry? She held on to her sides. They can't even talk to each other. I noticed. He shook his head. She insisted on coming when I told her I was to meet with Naruto Uzumaki. The others accepted her presence under the usual conditions. Guess she's gonna regret it when she wakes up. Humming, he looked at his daughter's slumbering, smiling face. If she almost said it in front of the most powerful shinobi in the village, maybe. She stood up with her plate in her hands. Walking back to Team 7's table, she paused, noticing Tsume in her place. The Inuzuka head grinned at the blonde boy. I heard what you said about my Hana from my Kiba. Her slit eyes narrowed when he nervously laughed. You've got guts, kid. But if all you can do is talk, you'll never get your hands on a woman. Overpowering them is just the first step. She rose, raised a hand in greeting at his favorite sensei, and went back to her place by Shibi. Sakura blinked. Did she just tell you to force yourself on Hinata? Hana, actually. Anko sat back down. He beat her more than a few times while he was training for the final round of the Chunin exams. What? Naruto said more than asked. Kakashi used the body flicker to sneak another piece of his meal into his mouth. It's an Inuzuka thing. Not really rape, it's flirty sparring followed by sex where the winner goes all the way with the loser. Anko elaborated. Sasuke squinted at those words, swallowing a bite of fish slices and rice. That doesn't imply consent. Well? She tilted her head. I never actually heard what happened to Hana's father or who he was. Kiba said he ran away when I asked about his family way back during detention. Naruto said, doing the same. Oh my fuck. Watch what you say. Kakashi said, glancing in her direction. She is a clan head. But you can't do that. Sakura whispered. We don't know for sure if she did. Anko tilted her head from side to side. I wouldn't put it behind her. Not helping. She's been sizing up that guy who looks like Shino. Naruto whispered. That's his father, and he's more than capable of defending himself. Sakura smirked. So you do think she might have done it? Knowing anything he'd say would be misconstrued to fit their opinions, Kakashi stayed silent. More slices of his broiled meat disappeared behind his mask. He noticed them trying to see what was under, something he absolutely could not let happen. A thought coming to his mind made him focus on his most troublesome student. Naruto, you've become one of the most powerful shinobi in the village and accepted as one of us, but you haven't said anything about it. He pursed his lips. I just don't see a point. He nearly acknowledged his former friend when he flinched. Good to know where I stand as far as ninja go, but I really couldn't care less. Huh? You really have changed. He smiled. I was half expecting you to make several hundred clones to dance with you when you heard the news. really rub it in. I don't see a point in trying to prove something to everyone anymore. It was the honest truth. He fought and won against his first rival, a tailed beast, an S-class criminal, and a complete enigma he was certain had abilities beyond anyone in the establishment. As far as he was concerned, others needed to prove themselves to him. There was no desire left in his heart to change the look in the eyes of the villagers, save twisting them with fear and agony. All the conflict that tormented him for so long was finally gone. Only one or two more things were left for him to do before setting out. The fate his father cursed him with was something he was about to break free from forever. He'd accept whatever came next with open arms. Chapter 34: The Maelstrom That Is Approaching. For the rest of Naruto's induction, the various cliques and pairs gossiped, caught up with each other, told stories from the past, or a combination of the three. The two Chunin of Team 7 were made to swear oaths to not speak a word about the unnamed Cool Ninjas Club among Cool Ninjas Clubs under threat of never being allowed in before they left. Hinata was still unconscious, but Hayashi solemnly vowed to make her swear the oath when she woke up, risking expulsion for himself if she were to speak of it. The young man of the hour himself mockingly swore to never speak of it to outsiders under the same threat that hung over the Hyuga's head. All three of the former genin thought it was far too dramatic. Anko and Naruto went back to the Mitarashi residence together. Hayashi carried his daughter back to Kurenai's with her, and Kakashi led the rest of his team away blindfolded yet again. "Is this really necessary?" Sasuke asked. Kakashi nodded. "You can't know where we ate. But if you don't really do anything, why keep it a secret?" Sakura asked. "You're just being elitist for the sake of it." "Exactly. What? Didn't you see nearly every important figure in the village? Do you think they have time for just any shinobi? Do you think they should make any with their responsibilities?" Sasuke inclined his head. "That place is somewhere they can relax and mingle with each other." His eyes widened slightly beneath the blindfold. "Where they can make or discuss decisions outside of the council, possibly influenced by the other most important ninja of the village." "I have no idea what you're talking about." Kakashi deadpanned, avoiding eye contact with passerby that may have heard them. Sakura parted her lips, paused, and hung her head. "Oh." He waited until they were more than a few streets away to undo their blinds. "There. Now you can stop complaining about them." He glanced at an approaching face he hadn't seen in well over a month. "Sasuke!" "Sakura!" The young man raised a hand in greeting. "Remember me?" He glanced at the strips of cloth in the Jonin's hand. "Doing some kind of training?" "Kabuto!" Sakura smiled and almost blushed at the thought he saw them shepherded like cattle. Sasuke's lips inched upward. "We never did thank you for helping Naruto back in the forest of death." "It's really nothing." Kabuto waved it off before pausing. "Although, speaking of Naruto, I ran into him in a dango shop earlier today." He frowned, drawing looks of worry from them. "Did something happen between you two?" Lips thinning into a line, he looked down. "It's something personal." "Well, it really seemed like he hated you, even though you were practically willing to die for him back then." His gaze lifted to meet the medic Nin's eyes. "I'd still risk my life for him, but—" Drifting off, he glanced away. "We just need some time to think and cool off." "I understand. Hopefully, you'll be back on good terms soon enough." Kabuto smiled. "Maybe you can throw him a surprise party for his promotion to Jonin." "You heard about that?" "We kind of already did," Sakura said, looking down. His expression shifted into neutral. "When a genin jumps straight to Jonin after taking the Chunin exams, word tends to get around, and I'm sorry to hear it didn't go as well as it could have. Nothing you could have done unless you're also a relationship counselor." "Oh." Kabuto adjusted his glasses. "I didn't know it was like that." Sasuke, twitching, glanced from his teammate's surprised face to the medical ninjas. "It's not." Waving goodbye, he turned around, hiding his malicious grin. "Don't worry. Your secret's safe with me." He held back laughter at the glare he knew the other boy was shooting him. "I didn't mean that kind of relationship counselor." Sakura, looking away from her irritated teammate and blushing, said. "A bit convenient for him to run into Naruto and the two of you on the same day, right?" Kakashi's eye narrowed at Kabuto's disappearing back. He closed it and shrugged. "Oh well, stranger things have happened and will keep on happening." Conditions for retrieving Orochimaru's goals were probably the best they would be. While he wanted to bring up the subject of Itachi, Kakashi's presence made that a bad idea. The spy would relay the information back and wait for further orders. He was somewhat tempted to ruin his plans, but there would be nothing left for him to do except live out his days waiting for Danzo to die or for the old man to discover he survived and kill him. In the former outcome, he'd still have nothing to do save for what other people told him. His feelings were a jumbled mess on all subjects, so he decided to go with the immediate short-term and long-term solution, serving the rogue Sannin. More than a few sound and sand ninja were captured alive during the attack on the Leaf Village. Most of them managed to kill themselves through some hidden poison. What few sand ninja were spared or denied that fate received tender care from the village's torture and interrogation division. They were turned loose after the sand surrendered completely as a gesture of good faith, leaving Orochimaru's minions behind. While they had some interrogation resistance training, it was nothing the Yamanaka couldn't work around. Ibiki grinned at the spasming strung-up prisoner. "You like that, don't you, punk?" He released the genjutsu before it could do any permanent damage. "I already told you everything. You literally had people go into my mind to check." "Oh, I know." He snapped his fingers and pointed at the man, ordering his subordinates to take him down. "Just getting one last hit in for old time's sake." Dosa Kinuta, face bearing pre-existing scars, stretched the moment his feet touched the ground. "You sick fuck. You're not exactly free to go. That Kekkei Genkai of yours would benefit the village, but we need to see if you're a good fit first. Until then, you'll be placed under house arrest. Better than this shithole." He groaned as he popped his bones. "Did it really take you? I wanna say a better part of a month to decide that. We were down a Hokage." His good eye widened. Holy shit, Orochimaru actually did it? Unfortunately. The Tokubetsu Jonin put a hand on the young man's shoulder before he walked out. "What?" Kimimaro. His eyes narrowed as he shivered. "Tell me what you know. Why, you already know everything." He stepped back. "But I want to hear it from you rather than another person going through your memories." Dosa looked down. "Then you know I only met him once, and he killed a room full of ninja in under a minute." He scoffed. "Still thought Orochimaru was beyond him, so I knew I couldn't do anything to either, even if I wanted to. He could grow and shoot bones, right? That's what he used to kill everyone, yeah? Taijutsu is suicide and ranged ninjutsu isn't that effective. Killing him in an outright fight is close to impossible." Ibiki nodded. "Lines up with what we gleaned from your mind, Anko's defection reports, and Lord Danzo's report about his encounter with him. This Danzo guy actually lived through a fight with Kimimaro? Nearly cut him in half, but it doesn't seem like the kid was at his best." He smirked and made space for the captive. "If he was still in his prime, we'd be gleaning secrets from this Kimimaro's corpse regardless. Kimimaro's barely 15. That's hardly impressive." Dosa walked past him, flanked by the other ninja. The head of the division murmured, remembering the report of the 13-year-old matching him where their current Hokage failed. "Good point. Out of the Sannin, Tsunade was the physically strongest and best at taijutsu. She may have been weakened by old age and rust, but beating her in a matter of seconds was something no shinobi in the village was capable of." His apparent fanatical loyalty to Orochimaru made him an enemy of the village. They needed a picture to put in their bingo book before the last Kagaya could grow into an S-class problem. The master bedroom, really the only personal room, of the lab-like hideout echoed with screams. Aside from the one who called it home, a young man stood at his bedside to administer various medical concoctions. Every other caretaker was either too afraid or too weak to enter the chamber and risk their master's wrath. What once was somewhat unbearable was outright agonizing. It was getting too much for either of them to stomach. "Lord Orochimaru." Kimimaro held a hand over his chest. "Please take my body! Let me end your suffering!" His neck extended to bite out his throat yet stopped before he could pierce his flesh. "No!" Returning his head between his shoulders, the missing nin wheezed. "I still don't understand the condition you were in. Just because you managed to recreate your body without it doesn't mean it can't surface again." He collapsed in his bed, shaking. "I don't even know if taking another body will solve my own. This is more than an illness of the flesh." The vestige of the Kagaya lowered his head. "Is there anything I can do? Have you received word from Kabuto?" "Yes. Naruto Uzumaki is distant from everyone close to him, save Mitarashi. The villagers do not accept him yet. The shinobi are starting to thanks to his promotion to Jonin. Sasuke Uchiha still cares for him and said he was willing to risk his life for him, but they seemed to be at odds for some personal reason. Good. He cackled for several seconds before the pain turned his laughter into strangled gasps. I intended to wait for him to grow, but this may be my only chance. The vitality of an Uzumaki and the power of the nine-tailed fox. Even if that doesn't cure me, it will buy me much-needed time. His snake eyes focused on his most loyal servant. Tell Kabuto to come and treat me personally. You will gather the sound 4, head to the leaf, and offer Naruto a place by my side. He mustered the will to grin. Tempt him with power, his true lineage, acceptance, and vengeance against the village that spurned him. If he comes willingly, have him wait at the valley. If he refuses, you know what to do. But who will take care of you, Lord Orochimaru? Kimimaro looked up with eyes filled with earnest worry. I will make do on my own. You've coddled me like a newborn babe for too long. So long as my cure is in sight, I will be fine. He bowed. As you command, Lord Orochimaru. Turning around, he walked out of the room with a frown on his face. They were not worthy of the powers bestowed on them or responsible enough to serve the will of their lord. At best, they were sacrificial pawns. He was more than aware he was one too, but they were under the delusion they could still bicker like they were anything else. It was unbecoming of them as instruments. Their lacking abilities made it so much worse. Even though he was no stranger to failure, he accepted it without any protest where they would stiffen and make excuses. All 4 knew better than to disobey him, yet likely needed reminding as to why after being away for so long. Naruto and Anko slept in the morning after. They would have been woken up by the former's teammates if it weren't for Kakashi deciding to make good on his promise. When they did wake up, the 2 former delinquents showered, washed, and were more than welcomed at Ichiraku's. Iruka wasn't present, having already irresponsibly eaten ramen for breakfast the other day. About what you said yesterday. began. Are you really doing all right? The whisker-cheeked boy nodded as he swallowed a mouthful of his favorite meal. Like I said, better than ever? He frowned. Can't I admit what I really feel without people thinking something's wrong with me? She winced. I didn't mean it like that. Sorry. He looked down at his near-empty bowl, having successfully misled her. I know I'm not acting like I usually do. A hand on his shoulder made him smile. Anko smiled back. Gotta give people time, kid. Lifting the bowl to his lips, he gave an understanding hum before downing what was left. Sure. He took the appropriate amount of Rio from his pouch and set it on the counter. I'm going. Without me? She glanced at her half-eaten meal to him. There's someone I have to meet, and I think I'd like to talk to him alone. Naruto raised a hand to rub the back of his head as she deflated. I'll introduce you to him sometime. Drifting off, he looked away as his heart sank. Really messed up with him. Oh. She grinned and waved him away. Then hurry up and fix it. He nodded. I will. With a spring to his step, he took off. Smiled. Off to make amends with Sasuke. Yeah. Anko blinked. Wait, I've already met him. She tilted her head. I trained him for almost 2 weeks. Who the hell is he talking about? Konohamaru. Naruto, running up a wall, said beneath his breath. The briefing the other day confirmed he wouldn't be at the academy. Asaratobi was no longer the Hokage, so he wouldn't find him at the Hokage residence. He never kept track of where all the clans lived. He could create a bunch of clones, but they nearly told his secrets last time. Chances were Asuma received a mission that morning, leaving only his team to glean information from. While the red light district was a possibility, Ebisu wouldn't let that boy even think about it. Having barbecue for breakfast was unusual for any squad that didn't have an Akimichi. Ino, sitting to the right of her human meat vacuum teammate at their usual eating place, rolled her eyes as she swallowed chewed bits of beef. If we weren't training so much, I'd be packing pounds of fat by now. Whining, she glanced at her toning arms. I'm not sure if muscle is any better. She leaned back to look at her other partner. Do you think I can pull off the fit girl aesthetic? Are you sure I'm the right person to ask that? Shikamaru shook his head. Not Lee. A strange chill made her freeze. What the? Naruto dropped down from the roof of the building and stepped towards them. Hey. He raised a hand in greeting when they turned their heads. Do you know where the Saratobi live or where I can find Konohamaru? The little bandaged punk? Yeah. He raised an eyebrow at the blank look on her face. I can try and sense him. You can do that? Nodding, she closed her eyes and focused. The source of the odd feeling came from the chakra of the young man right behind her. It was a boiling rage back in the academy, a warm spring at the start of the Chunin exams, and a roaring tempest for the rest. When his clones asked them where Kakashi was, she could tell how fractured he was from its constant shifting mood and all the doppelgangers. No such conflict was left. All that remained was a brewing storm of resentment and hatred kept back by the tranquility of an iron will. Is this gonna take you a while? Choji gulped down some fried pork. Give it a minute. He smiled. I heard you made Jonin. Uh-huh. His focus did not slip from the other blonde. What about it? He blinked. Shouldn't you be excited? Ino's eyes opened. He's more than a few blocks over there with that weirdo four eyes bandana guy. She pointed in their direction. They're standing still, so he's probably being lectured. Thanks. Naruto jumped, latched onto the wall by channeling chakra to his hands, and climbed back up onto the roof before taking off. Choji glanced from one of his teammates to the other. Did Naruto seem weird to you? Was that really him? Ino asked, staring off into space. Troublesome. Shikamaru glanced at her. What did you sense? He's always been a bit off or stirred up, but it was kind of like the arena when he transformed, except he's still normal and, somehow calm. Shrugging, he lifted some roasted meat to his lips. Outside of our hands. Ebisu had his charge tied up in an alley. It wouldn't look good for him or the Sarutobi clan if he lectured him in public, so he was doing it in the most private way he could. While he would have carried him onto the rooftops, the boy was getting very good at kicking him in the crotch when he attempted to pick him up. The enclosed space had the added effect of magnifying his tone to be several times more scolding. Are you done yet? The brat asked, having long since zoned out. Twitching, the grown man stiffened into an even greater scolding teacher pose. That is no wa. A fishnet-clad arm sliding around his throat, hooking his chin beneath an elbow, cut him off. His blue eyes widened at the spiky yellow hair peeking over the man's shoulder when he fell to his knees. Boss? Hey. Naruto unhooked the Tokubetsu Jonin's ninja tool pouch and moved his other arm to lock his left, preventing him from escape via stabbing tool and disabling his jutsu. After a full 10 seconds, he let go. He grinned as his tutor smacked against the ground unconscious. Whoa! Taking out a kunai, he walked over, making sure to step on his fallen adversary on his way. Been a while, Konohamaru. He frowned at the bruises and bandages on the lad's face. Looks like you followed my advice. Of course I did. He stood up the moment the rope coiled around him was cut. What's wrong with that? He flexed his biceps. I'm stronger. His idol's unchanging expression turned his smile upside down. Boss? He turned around and started walking. Come with me. Sure. The boy followed. They left the alley in favor for the streets. Both noticed the looks the villagers leveled at them was like night and day. The Jonin was shunned while the cadet was respected. It made the former more resentful while the latter felt ashamed of his enjoyment of what he saw as unearned approval in their eyes. The irony they were both the progeny of Hokage was known only to the former though, and it infuriated him. When they stopped, they were in the fully fledged ninjas training area. Little did either know a blank set lingered on them. The hell happened here? Konohamaru tilted his head at the marked trees and uneven patches of grass. Naruto, crossing his arms, spun around to face him. Show me your stance. The boy blinked, grinned, and got into a typical academy stance, evenly spaced feet with fists held up. This is what I learned in the academy. He tilted his left shoulder forward, moved his arms over his chest, and ducked his chin underneath his fists. But this is what I learned from getting into real fights. His lips closed into a line when the young man winced. Huh! Try this. He copied his style but kept one arm lower than the other and bent his knees. The academy taijutsu they teach you is basic stuff meant to help you find your own way. Problem is a lot of idiots take it to heart. Shifting his weight to his heels and toes, he began bounce-stepping left and right. Footwork gets neglected, which means it's easy for them to get outmaneuvered. He lunged forward, punching, with a bounce step. Worst of all, they don't teach you grappling. He raised a hand to stroke his chin while he shuffled his feet back and forth, demonstrating his speed. But I guess a lot of trainees would end up breaking each other's bones. Like this? Smiling, he copied his stance and movements, albeit far slower. He nodded. Just take it easy. This is your first time, so you'll tire yourself out like that. Come on. The rapid movements of his legs did not stop. Jay, just look! He began panting and relented. A whine murmured in his throat at his surprised teacher's lack of faltering. Keep at it for a few years, and you'll be just as good as I am now. I've been going at it to the fullest almost every day since I joined the academy. That's how I made Jonin at my age. The lad's eyes widened. You're a Jonin now? Yeah. Naruto smiled. I'm a Jonin. He jumped. I want to be just like you, boss. His brow furrowed when his idol's smile turned into a frown. Okay, what's up? Konohamaru. He stopped shuffling, put his hands on the boy's shoulders, and locked eyes with him. It was a mistake for me to give you advice. He averted his gaze. And I shouldn't have talked to you like that when you were just trying to help. Gritting his teeth, he looked down. I'm a shitty boss. Hey! His hands balled into fists. Knock it off! Pointing a thumb at himself, he stepped out of his grasp. I chose to follow your advice for myself, and it worked. He relaxed and glanced away. You lost the old man. His eyes narrowed when anger flared in his. And I know you cared about him. Don't try to bullshit me. The anger fading into doubt made him smirk. You're a good boss because you make me want to do my best. Blood rushing to his face, Naruto raised a hand to scratch his reddening cheek. I just don't want you. He frowned. I don't want you to go through the same things I had to by following in my footsteps. Well, this is my choice, so you don't have any say in it. He giggled. I'm going to have my own things to deal with anyway. His eyes held nothing but warmth. There's no one other than you I want to be like. They widened when he was pulled into a hug. His vision blurred. I should have taken care of you, actually guided you, but all I did was push you around. Almost everyone hated me, and I barely gave the person who admired me the time of day. Tears streamed down his face. I'm sorry, Konohamaru. B-boss? The boy's own sight grew hazy. It's all right. Can you please stop? He returned his hug. You're going to make me cry too, he chuckled. That's okay. It's just the two of us. Boss. Drifting off, his own tears streamed down his cheeks. Can I call you Big Brother? Of course you can. Okay, Big Brother. He ruffled his hair. There. After a good minute, he let go and stepped back. Let's keep going. He wiped away his tears before holding up 3 fingers. Skill is precision, timing, and instinct, knowing where to hit, knowing when to hit, and knowing how to hit. Power, speed, and strength is important, but it's far from everything. He poked himself just under the middle curve of his ribs. Aim here to hit the liver and stomach. Lifting a finger up, he pointed at his throat and chin. These are more vital than the face, but a hit to the nose can knock someone off balance for a second. He put his free hand over his other. Hitting the joints is how you disable mobility. Break or dislocate a shoulder or elbow and your enemy can't use jutsu. His arms returned to his side. Understand? Konohamaru's head fell to the side. Kinda? Let's work on your timing then. Instinct is something you gain from experience, and more than just throwing a punch. He held up a hand and snapped his fingers. I want you to attack right when you hear that. He snapped them again for good measure. How is that supposed to help? You'll see. Lifting his other hand, he beckoned him. Come on. Don't hold back. The next several hours were filled with punches, kicks, and snaps. It took the cadet more than a few tries to start getting a handle on it. When he did, his new yet favorite teacher mixed up the pace of the snaps or randomly went through them. None of his hits actually connected, them being outright dependent on a time of his choosing, but they were coming out faster and faster. Growing exhaustion from non-stop training was beginning to make them slow though. Others were now watching them under the auburn sky. Naruto lowered his hand. That's enough of that for today, he raised his other. But before you go, I want to show you this. Chakra swirled in the center of his palm until stabilizing into a swirly death ball, to the boy's amazement. This is the result of rotation, power, and containment. You rotate chakra several ways in the center of your hand, channel a lot into it, and keep it all in a ball like this. He walked over to the nearest tree. It's called the Rasengan. Nature's majesty broke in two once more when he rammed his father's jutsu into the trunk. I don't expect you to get it right away, but I expect you to train until one day you do get it. Of course, Big Brother. Konohamaru, eyes shining in awe, began bouncing. I'll get started right away. He turned in the direction of his home before running off. Thank you, big brother. He waited until he was certain the boy was gone to turn to the woods. You have 5 seconds to come out or fuck off before I kill you. Bringing his fingers together into the shadow clone jutsu sign, he narrowed his eyes. 5, 4, 3. 4 figures flickering to surround him did not make him break the seal. Who the hell are you? The darkest-skinned and somehow 6-armed one smirked. Kadamaru of the East Gate. Jirobo of the South Gate. The fattest one frowned. Sakan, a 2-headed young man said, of the West Gate. Tayuya of the North Gate. The only girl said. Okay, that doesn't tell me sure. He spun on his heel and kicked out the lunging Spider-Man's leg, sending him forward over to the 2-headed one. When the fatso tried his luck with a straight, he gave him a liver shot followed by a goodbye knee to the groin. The 2-headed one kicked at him, so he leaned out of the way and bounced step to the side with 2 fingers sticking out, nearly rupturing his eyeballs. Tayuya raised her open hands up in surrender as he turned to her. Fuck no. He created a Rasengan when the South and East Gate recovered. I beat a prodigy of the Hyuga clan in taijutsu. Scoffing, he nearly rolled his eyes. What the fuck can any of you do to me? Familiar black marks spreading over their skin made him realize who they were. That's enough. An irritated yet cold voice commanded. He turned to see its owner jump down from a nearby tree branch. How's the arm? Kimimaro lifted his replacement. A better question would be how it feels like to have an entirely new yet still familiar body. Lowering it, he glanced at the swirly death ball. That's unnecessary. It sure helped nearly kill you the last time. His focus didn't drift once to the surprised flunkies. If you were going to use it, you would have, but you know I come with a proposition rather than violence, in spite of these idiots' actions. He raised an eyebrow as his Rasengan dissipated. Why did you bring them along anyway? Lord Orochimaru's orders. He instructed me to offer you power, the truth behind your parents, acceptance in the Hidden Sound Village, and vengeance against the Hidden Leaf Village. I'm only interested in that last bit, and I don't need him to get it. He scoffed. Tayuya scoffed back. If even he couldn't do it, what makes you think you can? She blinked as the two didn't so much as glance at her. Enlighten me. Kimimaro crossed his arms. How do you intend to destroy the village? Obviously, I'm going to kill every villager in it, which means getting strong enough to beat every shinobi. And how will you get that strong? He chuckled. I made Jonin at 13. I've been a shinobi for 3 months at best. Give me a couple of years, and I could drown this miserable fucking world in a sea of red. You've been training under the likes of Kakashi the Copy Ninja, Lord Orochimaru's own top student, and Jiraiya the Toad Sage, a member of the legendary Sannin. You are not solely responsible for your progress. Oh, fuck off. He pointed a finger at him. You're just trying to goad me into going to Orochimaru. He nodded. Is it working? The 4's scrunching faces were of no concern to him. You. Well, kinda. He lowered it. If you're considering my offer, it means you can't stand serving those who despise you anymore. You can try to learn all you can here, but the hatred you feel will grow to a point you cannot control. You will move before you are ready, and you will be confined in service to them for the rest of your life. Remember that. He watched the 5 of them flicker away with a frown on his face. I never thought of that, actually. Are you finally done lingering in this accursed place? Yeah. Naruto looked down. I think I am. Hinata sat frozen behind a tree, processing what she heard and witnessed. She sought to redeem herself at last for her repeated failures when she woke up that day. The words nearly left her lips to be heard by the most important ninja in the village before his gentle touch overwhelmed her. While she wanted to approach him, she didn't want to interrupt his time with Konohamaru. It took a good handful of minutes for her to calm down when he left just for mysterious servants of Orochimaru to approach him first, and he was honestly considering their offer. She had one last chance. Chapter 35, For You Lovers. All of it was rather sudden. Naruto knew his days in the village were numbered, but he never thought the end was so close. At the very least, he wanted to learn the rest of the wind-style jutsu Anko knew before leaving. Just asking to learn more was rousing suspicion though. Orochimaru was likely the one who taught her them, more inclined to teach him the other nature transformations, and willing to pass on forbidden jutsu. The downsides were he hated the snake bastard, and he obviously didn't have his best interests in mind. Staying in the village, as Kimimaro and the Ninetales pointed out, could jeopardize his goals. He was in another no-win scenario, just like the one during the final day of the Chunin exams. His heart raced when he remembered a certain young woman's heartfelt words. "Whatever I choose, all I have to do is keep going." Taking a deep breath, he turned to the direction of the Mitarashi residence. Anko-sensei. He created a single clone and watched it run off. Fetching her or deceiving her? Your guess is as good as mine. He patted his money pouch. Will I even need any where I'm going? The realization he hadn't been to his apartment in nearly 2 months made him groan. I'm going to be a criminal. I'll just take what I want. A hollowness grew in his chest as he stared out into nothing. Is there really nothing left to do here? His stomach growled. One last bowl. Nodding, he turned and ran towards his favorite food place. Hinata tried to move after him yet couldn't. Dread and sorrow kept her planted behind her cover. She knew he didn't care for the village as far back as the academy, but she never guessed it was that bad. Being forced to live as the Jinchuriki of the nine-tailed fox for them was without a doubt a factor. When Kurenai revealed the truth and they all saw it for themselves, she didn't know what to think. He was still the same boy who came to her rescue all those years ago, just as he was moments before. However, if she told the wrong person what happened, they'd lock him away forever to stop him from undermining the Leaf's security. She activated her Byakugan and ran after the real one. I have to stop him. Her gaze steeled. This time, I won't falter. This time, I'm going to be the one who saves you. There was no more room for doubt in her mind. If she didn't say it before he left, she could never forgive herself. His body language where they ate the other day told her he felt something for her too. It might have been an awful thing to do, really the worst thing she ever considered, but she had to use those feelings to keep him from going. The alternative was losing him and possibly having to face a corrupted mockery of what he was. Shortly after lunch, Kakashi left his 2 students training alone, citing a new mission that would take him some time as to why. They thought he, as he usually did, was making excuses. Missions and summons given via messenger bird were reserved for Jonin, so either knew he was telling the truth. Both relaxed by sitting on the grass after a few hours' worth of taijutsu practice. Sasuke, I know you don't want to tell anyone what happened, but can you at least tell me how bad it was? Sakura looked at his stiffening form with earnest concern in her eyes. Naruto. He's one of us, and we meant so much to him he wanted to hear us say we'll care for him no matter what. She glanced down. He was so happy. He parted his lips, paused, closed them, and clenched his eyes shut at the memory of the loving clone. I made the biggest fuck-up of my entire life. What happened couldn't have been that bad. Sakura, you said it yourself, we meant a lot to him. His eyes opened. Then what I did. What I didn't do caught up with me. It was something about Itachi, right? She inclined her head. He glared out into nothing. Even now, I still don't understand what the hell he was trying to do. Nothing about it makes sense. It's like he wants me to kill him, but if that was true, why did he? Drifting off, he tilted his head at an odd thought. His brother was protecting his friend. She raised an eyebrow at his strange look. You still haven't told me what happened or what he said to you either. I asked him why he killed our family, and he tried to motivate me to kill him. When I first asked him all those years ago, he said it was test himself against the clan, but he left me alive, even though he killed all the other children. He told me I was his last challenge. That doesn't make any sense. He nodded. Naruto said the same thing after I told him. If he really wanted to test himself, why not go after the Kage or other powerful shinobi? He's not unstable, that was actually the most in control I've ever seen him, or an idiot. There's something he wants in having me go after him. His hands folded together. It just seems like he's playing some sick game and tormenting you for the sake of it. That might be it. He fell back onto the grass. I could be deluding myself into thinking my brother is still who I thought he was because it's easier than believing the truth. He was your family. She leaned over him. He closed his eyes. I know that more than anyone. Humming, she sat up straight and put a hand on her aching back. I used to think training like this was insane. She crossed her pointer and ring fingers, creating a shadow clone of herself. You know what to do. It scoffed. Do it yourself. It tilted its head at the resting boy. Oh, Sasuke. Hey. I'm a person too, bitch. The clone narrowed its eyes at her. Her face scrunched in confusion. You're me. Better than you. It took a deep breath, sighed, and held its hands close to its chest. A blip in the endless sea of eternity, forever beautiful. She punched the clone into smoke. Get over yourself. Blinking, she remembered her teammate was there. So Naruto really has no control over them. Sakura's face became as pink as her hair. Kind of? She looked away. You have to make one yourself, it's the weirdest thing. I think I'll stick to lightning and fire. He really didn't want to hear what he had to say to himself. They continued to unwind in peace. At any time, another situation could pull them out of their day-to-day life, so enjoying it while they could was important. Their last mission was almost 2 months ago, and the politics of the shinobi world were changing. Itachi's surprise visit was a source of some short-lived excitement. Something bigger was coming. Neither were ready. The meeting place for the most influential shinobi in the village was devoid of them. Where trained ninja dogs could be heard constantly prancing, there were puppy whines instead. Only the dango shops had recognizable people, mostly civilians and nobody ninja, in them. Everyone Anko knew or was somewhat close to was attending to some other business, and it was making her feel pathetic, more so than usual. She got some much-needed exercise in the recovering forest of death before heading back to her empty house. Sighing, she opened her front door. I'm home. Her eyes widened when her favorite boy ran out the hall of her room and glomped her. Anko-sensei. The Naruto clone looked up to her with tears building in its eyes. Welcome back. Did something happen? She smiled as she patted its head. It buried its face in her collar. Everything went great. Who did you go see? Wrapping her arms around it, she secured the clone's position on her upper body. Konohamaru, the old man's grandson. It lifted its head to rub its cheek against hers. Can you take care of him for me? She giggled. Of course. Blinking, she turned to look the smiling clone in the eye. What do you mean by that? I'm not always going to be around. I'm gonna have missions, just like you. That four-eyed weirdo isn't teaching him shit. When I'm away, can you look after him and show him some moves? Yeah, I will. It licking her cheek made her laugh. What is with you? Her lips parted when tears streamed down its face. Seriously, what's going on? Nothing. I'm just happy being here with you. It nuzzled her neck. She began walking towards her room. You're really fucking adorable, you know that, right? You can thank me for that. Without those whiskers, you'd be a horrid gremlin. Not now. The clone held her tighter. Please let me have this moment. You're getting everything you wanted. It closed its eyes as more tears fell. This is the best way the main man can say goodbye. A smile spread across its face when the beast fell silent. Lot of people aren't going to understand where you're coming from. Not like you had anyone to guide you in the beginning like almost all of them did. Being a Jinchuriki made that a dozen times worse. Just know not understanding doesn't mean they don't care. Talking about what I am said? She threw aside her coat and nodded. Yeah. She lay down on the bed with the copy of her favorite boy. Too many people are sure about their views of others. When you go against that view, they'll doubt what they see and hear. It takes a lot to convince anyone you've changed. I understand. It looked down at itself. Even after everything, they still think I'm a piece of shit for something I had no say in. But there are people here who don't think that and care about you. Looking back up, it smiled even as its tears fell. I know, Anko-sensei. He was with her the only way he could be, saying goodbye in the best way he thought possible. When they meet again, it would likely be as enemies. There was little chance they'd aim to kill each other, but neither could bear the pain of having to fight someone they held dearly. All he hoped for was she'd understand and leave him be. That, knowing her, would be an impossibility though. Hinata more than closed the distance between herself and Naruto when he stopped at a vaguely familiar ramen shop. She moved to join him until the smiles on everyone inside made her relent. What she had to say couldn't be heard by anyone else, and there was no telling how the two civilians would react. They seemed to care for the young man, unlike most others. It wasn't right for her to involve them. Laying on a nearby rooftop, she waited and watched. Their expressions, body language, and word choice were akin to that of old friends. Her ability to read lips was a bit off, but she was good enough to tell mostly what they were saying. It was a casual conversation about a boy and Naruto. At the mention of Sasuke, his expression soured. That didn't stop him from dumping an entire pouch full of Rio on the counter when he was done eating. He ran off while they stared at the pile. She stood up and followed from a safe enough distance, still keeping him within range of a rush. Other ninja were around to hear them if tensions escalated. While she could use the help, it would risk his freedom. Her odds weren't great, but she couldn't bear him suffering because of her inadequacy. He went from one outskirt of the village to another. It was obvious to her he was looking for an opening in the lookout's patrols. Ever since the incident with the 2S rank missing Nin, security was increased to prevent it from happening again. The gates remained the same, however, something he realized when he remembered coming back from retrieving Tsunade. He turned to the nearest one and took off. Focusing in that direction, she saw an empty road with no one in hearing distance. This is my chance. Her pace picked up the closer they got. He stopped dead in his tracks at the center of the path, driving her to hide behind a nearby hedge tree. How long are you going to follow me? A jolt ran through her body. Swallowing her anxiety, she stepped out and took several steps towards him. Naruto, she frowned when he stiffened. I heard everything. Go home, Hinata. He looked down. Forget what you heard, forget you ever met me, and move on with your life. I can't. His hands balled into fists. You're not listening to me. He grit his teeth. This isn't going to end well for either of us. Even so, I can't let you leave. She began forming hand signs. He took a deep breath and sighed before turning around. Fine. He blinked as the world went black. What th? His sight was restored just in time for him to see her fist make contact with his jaw, launching them both into the air. She popped her hip, held out her arms, shot chakra from her tenketsu, and began spinning as she waved her upper limbs. The idea came to her when she saw her father perform the rotation and demonstrate the 64 palms. One was a perfect defense while the other was a devastating attack. While a Hyuga could use the rotation offensively, it wasn't the jutsu's strong suit. This was her addition to her clan's legacy laid bare towards the one person she admired the most. The unmistakable movements, more so than the blinding pain of getting his front shredded and tenketsu points sealed, made his eyes widen. Just as his back touched the ground, she slammed her palms into his sides. A wave of joy enveloped her when she landed on him, unintentionally straddling his waist. I did it. Riding the rush of her biggest victory, she locked her lips with his for a full minute before pulling back from his stunned, blushing face. I used to always cry and give up, but you showed me that was never going to work. Her deactivating eyes welled with tears of happiness. I was always chasing you. Always trying to reach you. I just wanted to walk with you. I want to be by your side, always. They streamed down her cheeks. You changed me. Your strength saved me from myself. That's why I stopped you. She tilted her head. Because I love you, Naruto. His face contorting as he clenched his eyes shut made her worry. Naruto? Tears seeped out of the closed gap between his eyelids. He sobbed. She caressed his face with both her hands. It's Oka. A kiss from him cut her off. They stayed in their position for another minute before parting. She, knowing full well the pain she left him in, helped pick him up, setting him against the nearest tree. Her Byakugan let her see where he kept his bandage roll, so she took it, removed what was left of his ruined clothes, slung the rags over her shoulder, and wrapped up his torso. Done, they stood in silence for a moment. Do you want me to take you to anyone? Hinata asked. Naruto looked toward his old apartment. Can you take me to my place? He winced as she put his arm over her shoulder. I'm sorry. She looked down. It was the only thing I was sure could stop you. He mustered a laugh. That was awesome and beautiful. The pink tint on her face made his heart flutter. Just like the night at the waterfall. I didn't know that was you until we waited to take the first test of the Chunin exams. She began walking. Didn't know that was you until a few minutes ago. He managed to laugh again. I'm always figuring things out too late. The fingers of her free hand interlocked with the ones belonging to the arm over her shoulder. It's okay. Just show me the way, like you always do. She giggled when he blushed and pointed at his home. Villagers shot them odd looks, but neither couldn't care less about that at the time. Their hearts were full of warmth and joy. Something both were seeking was found in each other. No one could take that away from them, even if the underlying matter that brought them together had yet to be resolved. By the time they reached his front door, day was shifting into night. Ah fuck. Naruto groaned. Her hand turned the knob and pushed the door open. What's wrong? She blinked at the dusty mess that was his living space. Oh. I've been living with Enko-sensei for a long time now. Haven't been in here in almost 2 months. He looked away. You can leave me here. She entered with him and shut the door behind her. Not until you're in bed. Her gaze wandered from mark to mark he left on the walls as she helped him along. I kind of had some issues, but I dealt with them. You don't have to say anything. Reaching his messy mattress, she eased him onto his sheets. He grunted when his back hit the familiar material. Might be good for you to head back to your own home. Her lack of movement told him it wasn't going to be that easy. I'm sorry. He looked up to his ceiling. I really do want to destroy the village. His eyes narrowed. Every single part of me wants to kill those pieces of shit outside. They shut when the warmth in his chest gave way to pain. They were given everything that should have been mine and look at me like I'm some kind of freak for it. Opening them, he focused on Hinata before looking down at himself. What did I do wrong? Nothing. She put down his rags and laid herself next to him. You did nothing wrong, Naruto. She caressed his whiskered cheek. That's just how people are. A frown formed from her lips. If you go and do destroy the village, will it really solve anything? I can't help how I feel. He put his hand over hers. I've been fighting against myself for so long, and I'm finally at peace. You don't have to destroy the village to keep it. He inched his face closer. But I do. Naruto. Drifting off, she mimicked his actions. Do you love me? He grinned. I love the kind of woman that can kick my ass. Answer me. She giggled. I love you, Hinata. The fluttering of his heart turned his cheeks pink. You helped me finally understand what that is. They kissed once, then twice. Holding each other close, they nuzzled and cuddled with another. A blissful feeling unlike anything they ever felt before filled their entire bodies. It was the happiest either was too. Denying her request would be difficult for both. While one was content, the other felt something was missing. The eyes that appraised so many women gazed with too much innocence. Hinata unzipped her jacket, pulled her arms free from the sleeves, untied her forehead protector, and set it on the mini wardrobe at the side of the bed. I want to give myself to you as a woman. She took off her shirt before unhooking the appropriate undergarment. And for you take me as a man. Naruto stared. Okay. It was a hormonal spur of the moment. Neither had any experience greater than other people their age, so the beginning, however spirited, was embarrassing. At the very least, they knew some preparation was in order, which they wisely did. Everything was smooth sailing after they got a rhythm, though. The neighbors would have complaints if they didn't already know not to bother. Both were wrapped in the bed blanket, a pile of their leftover clothes on the sides of the mattress. Naruto, Don, please don't ask me to stay. He stroked her blushing face. I know I will if you do, but I'll resent you for it. Grabbing her other hand, he moved it towards his cheek. You helped me finally understand what love really is, and I don't want this to end up as twisted as everything else was in my life. Let me take it back, even if it seems stupid. His pinky wrapped around hers. I'll come back to take you away from this horrible place, stay with you forever, and give you as much children as you want. No other woman will ever come between us or replace you in my mind. Her wide eyes made his smile grow. Tell Grandma Tsunade I left, so they don't think you helped. Maybe mention that great move you did. You can tell her whatever you want though, as long as you're safe. Tears streamed down her cheeks. Can I go with you? I'm going to Orochimaru. If you come with me, he'll try to use you to control me. That's the kind of person he is, and I couldn't live with myself if something happened to you because of my mistakes. Then can you at least stay with me until I fall asleep? He gave her everything she ever wanted, so she couldn't deny him. Of course. He embraced her again. I'll be with you for as long as I can. Just as quickly as they united, they would part. Too many complications would arise if they both left or stayed. No solution was ideal, but it was all they had. Neither could let go of their feelings. They'd accept whatever came next, no matter how painful, for each other. Naruto slipped out of bed when he was sure Hinata was asleep. He got into his shorts and threw on his old, bloodied black undershirt. Readying the first Hokage's necklace, he stared at his forehead protector, remembering the pride and joy he felt earning it. A lifetime passed since, but its meaning was still the same to him. He picked it up, eased it into his lover's hands, and kissed her goodbye before leaving. The night air was strangely exhilarating. His old view of the village was a beautiful sight, especially when he imagined it all in ruins. No one saw him reach the front gate in what had to be a record time. Only the usual suspects were standing guard. Oh, this is gonna be easy. He brought his fingers together, creating 2 shadow clones, and walked forward while they spread out. Izumo blinked when he spied him from the corner of his eye. Naruto? Huh. Kotetsu turned to the black and orange figure. What are you doing out this law? An arm wrapping around his throat cut him off. He reached for his pouch but grasped air. What are you doing? Izumo choked, also being strangled. The clone behind him scoffed. Choking you, dumbass? What? Kotetsu forced out. Idiot, he just told you. The other one said. Naruto shook his head as he walked out the front gate. You two really are stupid. He grinned at the darkness before him. His doppelgangers held on until they were sure the two lost consciousness enough to forget what happened. They dispelled themselves, leaving no evidence. If Tsunade was to hear what happened, it would be from only Hinata. He was sure he'd be gone by the time that happened. All the other Jonin, the only ones that could really challenge him, were out on missions. She'd never send Enko against him, so it would likely be whatever umbu they had left, unless she decided to really scrounge around. Kimimaro stood in front of the sound for more than a few meters down the road. I've been waiting for you. Were you planning on hanging out all night? He walked past him. Tayuya scoffed. Like W. A backhanded punch slap knocked her down. Looking up, she saw his dwindling back. There's a campsite nearby for us, Kimimaro said. Best to rest before moving on. You are injured. You can tell, huh? Naruto turned to face him, ignoring the woman he struck to the ground. I have a lot of experience moving through injury. He moved towards the campsite. There are traps set, so follow my lead. The looks his underlings shot him for his word choice were irritating yet of no consequence. He shrugged before complying. Guess I could use a nap. The 4 minions kept quiet as they went along. They finally realized Kimimaro allowed the attack on Orochimaru's ideal vessel to teach a much-needed lesson. He was on the same level as their leader, if not better, without a curse seal to amplify his abilities. Both could kill them all with little effort. Kimimaro was the only one he acknowledged because he was the only one he could respect. As far as either were concerned, they were buzzing gnats. While she was unconscious, Hinata could tell her love left. A hollowness replaced a bright warmth that rested beside her. It made her regret not asking him to stay, but her choice was made. She didn't have to open her eyes when she woke up to tell he was gone. Doing so revealed what the cold sensation in her hands was, a Leaf Village forehead protector. This is... She looked back and found hers still resting on the wardrobe. Her vision blurred at the memory of their moment in the practice field. Holding on to the keepsake for dear life, she wailed out her bittersweet sorrow. The moment the last of her tears left was when she sprang into action. Getting dressed, she ran the story over her mind and debated between telling the truth, lying, or pretending it never happened. Leaving it be was impossible since more than a few civilians saw her carrying him to his apartment, but it would buy him some time. Her father was unlikely to bail her out if the Hokage branded her an accomplice. She could hardly care about herself at that moment, yet letting herself be judged would sadden him. If they managed to retrieve him, they would never let him go. Her mind was decided the moment she shut the door behind her. I don't want him to worry about me. She looked towards the Hokage residence and took off via rooftop. Tsunade's staff gave her odd looks when she ran through the building but made no efforts to stop her. Ninja with important news were running through all the time, especially since things were rather hectic. If someone was intending to assassinate her, they were in for a rude surprise. Guards for Kage were often more ceremonial and glorified servants, though many took pride in that position. The ruler of the Leaf Village raised an eyebrow at her barging in from behind her desk. Hinata Hyuga, right? She gestured for Aoba, her replacement whipping boy, to stand down. What brie? Naruto left the village last night with servants of Orochimaru. Tiles beneath the Hokage's feet cracked. What? Aoba gulped. I'd belie. He jumped when the cracks reached him. Tell me everything. There were 5 ninja from the Sound Village, a dark-skinned young man with 6 arms, a pink-haired girl, a large young man with orange hair, a 2-headed young man, and a white-haired young man with red face markings Naruto recognized. She noticed her eyes widen in realization. He offered him power, the truth behind his parentage, a place in the Sound Village, and vengeance against the Leaf. Looking down, she avoided her gaze. I tried to stop him, but I didn't want to involve anyone else because I was worried he'd be locked away. Tsunade folded her hands together, audibly cracking her finger bones, and closed her eyes. Almost all Jonin and Umbu were out of the village on missions. Most Chunin wouldn't even be able to scratch the wayward boy. The only ones who stood a chance were those who knew him best. Aoba, have the remaining Umbu fetch everyone who graduated Naruto's class, including the active members of Team Guy. Lee told her how they all knew him way back before she conducted his operation. Now, Hinata watched the Tokubetsu Jonin salute before flickering away. Why you're bringing everyone? I'm kinda out of options here. She opened a drawer of her desk and fished out a small bottle of sake. This is going to be the biggest clusterfuck of my career, and I haven't even been Hokage for a month. My apologies. What could you have done? She raised an eyebrow at the girl, wincing. She looked away. Am I dismissed? Weren't you a part of his class? Tilting her head at another flinch, she took a solid swig from her beverage. I know it may seem hopeless, but you're all the best chances we have of preventing this from escalating into something even bigger. I understand. The stage was set, and there was nothing more that could be done. All of them made their choices. Nothing was free of consequences. It was the culmination of years' worth of suffering, sadness, and sorrow. Battle awaited every single one of them, and the outcome would scar the land for years after. Only time would tell if those who participated or those who heard would learn anything from the lesson to be taught there. Chapter 36: Distance. Every other member of Naruto's graduating class and half of Team Guy were more than confused when they received summoning orders from Umbu. When they saw each other going to the same place and in the main office, they knew something big was happening. The dire look on the Hokage's face said as much. Her cracked floor helped affirm it too. What I'm about to say doesn't leave this room under any circumstances. Tsunade closed her eyes. Naruto left the village last night with servants of Orochimaru, no doubt to the land of rice. What? Sakura yelled, voicing almost all their thoughts. Hinata felt the urge to look away when their Hokage directed them to her. I saw them approach him and overheard. There were 5 of them. Their leader offered him power, the truth behind his parents, a place in the Sound Village, and vengeance against the Leaf. Vengeance against the village for what? Tenten asked. Haven't you noticed? Shikamaru frowned. I used to think it was because Naruto was kind of an asshole, but it's obvious to me now everyone looked down on him because he was a Jinchuriki. He looked to Sasuke and Sakura. And he hasn't exactly been himself for a while, has he? He shook his head when they nodded. Troublesome. Niji cleared his throat. What about Naruto's parents? He noticed the slightest of winces from their Hokage. Orochimaru said the same when we encountered him a few days ago before I returned to the village. Tsunade remained unfazed by their surprised looks. He is preying on Naruto's desire for a family. The leader of the group sent to retrieve him was there too. What exactly does Orochimaru want with Naruto? Choji asked. In Anko Midarashi's defection reports, she included numerous projects relating to immortality, one of which was exchanging bodies with another person. Shikamaru clucked his tongue. He wants the 9-tailed fox, and Naruto's ridiculous reserves of chakra. Hinata, covering her mouth in horror, almost drew his eye. But he already knows that, Sasuke said before looking down. Or at least he should. Their questioning gazes drew his back up. Do we have permission to disclose information we were forbidden to by the third? You have my permission, Tsunade said. Orochimaru ambushed the 3 of us in the forest of death. While it looked like he was toying around at the time, he was really trying to see what we were capable of. Naruto impressed him with the amount of shadow clones he could make and by suppressing the 9 tails after he did something to the seal. Ino's eyes widened along with everyone else's. Is Orochimaru the one who started the fire? There were 2, and we started 1. Sakura said. You're the one who did that. She stepped towards her. Are you kidding me? She returned the gesture. I was being chased by a giant snake. And we almost died, puke girl. Yeah, Sasuke said. Sorry. That was my fault. Her hostility faded into admiration. I forgive you, Sasuke. Sakura twitched at her earlier remark. It was the one time. Noticing the unamused look on their Hokage's face, she let it go. This is an S-class mission. Tsunade's gaze steeled. You are to retrieve Naruto Uzumaki alive, even if it may cost you your lives. No one else knows him as much as you do, and everyone I would normally trust with a mission this important are already on other ones. She pursed her lips. You all know about the one tale, so I'll tell you what you might have missed. Naruto killed an S-class missing nin, Kisame Hashigaki, and nearly killed the man who approached him with Orochimaru's offer. The same man bested me in a matter of seconds. Tenten gaped, as many of them did. No way. You're one of the legendary Sannin. Ignoring her outburst, she continued. His name is Kimimaro. He can grow and protrude bones strong enough to take explosive blasts. He's even capable of shooting them from his fingers like kunai. Taijutsu is suicide, so you have to fight him with ranged ninjutsu, preferably fire and lightning to bypass his physical resistance. Watch out for Earth style though. The abilities of the four with him are unknown to us, but we know the one with 6 arms can spit webs like a spider. As for Naruto, you already know most of his abilities. She looked to the 2 members of Team 7. Shadow Clone Jutsu, Shuriken Shadow Clone Jutsu, Explosive Shadow Clone Jutsu, Gale Palm Jutsu, and the Rasengan. Sakura listed. He also knows the Vacuum Blade Jutsu, but that's close enough. She focused back on the other ninja. If you haven't already figured it out for yourself, you can't fight Naruto alone or directly. He was promoted straight to Jonin for more than just his destructive ability. Take him on as a group and try to catch him off guard, as you should with Kimimaro. Shikamaru almost groaned. You're asking us to take on what seems to be 2 Kage-level ninja and 4 ninja of unknown ability as a group of Chunin and Genin? He and a few others jumped when the cracks on the floor spread. I'm ordering you to. Her eyes flicked over every shinobi before her. Do you have any idea what will happen if Orochimaru gets his hands on Naruto, much less if the other villages hear he's gone rogue? The 4th Great Ninja War. Sasuke answered, attracting a few doubtful looks. To their horror, she nodded. One of you 3 Chunin pick a leader and start tracking. We don't have time for you to waste. Before that, Kiba spoke up finally, looking at his sole female teammate with questioning eyes. Hinata, you smell like Naruto. Her jump told him what he already knew. Is now really the time to complain about body odor? Tenten asked. No, I mean she really smells like Naruto. Shikamaru blinked. Oh. What are you talking about? Sakura asked, noticing Sasuke of all people blush from the corner of her eye. Tsunade focusing on Hinata made her freeze. What really happened last night? She squinted when she began to shake. Her quivering lips parted, closed, and spread into a warm smile. I gave myself to Naruto as a woman. She looked on all their shocked faces with pride. And he took me as a man. Lady Hinata! Niji's Byakugan involuntarily activated. I'll drag back that him. Oh, stop it! She stomped towards him. I let him go. I had the man who beat you beneath me. His chest to his stomach was skinned by my jutsu. Tears fell from her eyes. I confessed my love for him, and he accepted me with open arms. She sobbed. I had to let him go when he asked me to, but I didn't know that's what Orochimaru had planned for him. Looking to the Hokage's stern face, she did not falter. Imprison me if you must, but keep me with Naruto. Niji blushed as his dojutsu deactivated. Lady Hinata! He dodged a slap from a crying Ino. It's obviously not like that, you idiot! Hinata held her own blushing face. Actually, it is somewhat like that. That's fine. She wiped away her heartfelt tears. I understand completely. You beat Naruto? Sasuke asked, cheeks still pink. Hinata nodded. I used the infinite darkness jutsu Kurenai-sensei taught me before I launched my attack. When I knocked him into the air, he couldn't defend himself. I combined the rotation and 64 palms into the ultimate attack and defense. She closed her eyes at the blissful memory of what happened next. I finally bridged the gap between us, and he gave me everything I ever wanted. Did it ever once occur to you that he was using your feelings against you? Tsunade raised an eyebrow when her Byakugan activated. You weren't there. She looked down with half-lidded eyes, veins returning to normal. He was crying. I didn't know why, but I know now. My words broke his heart because, for a moment, I tore him between leaving and staying. A pit grew in her chest. If I knew what Orochimaru intended, I would have told him to stay. Why did you let him go? She scoffed at the questioning look on most of their faces. Do any of you even remember how you used to look at him? The realization settling in made her scowl. Before he showed everyone how good of a shinobi he was, you all thought he was down on the bottom of your sandals. I'm ashamed I even thought of asking him to stay for the village that despised him. Her hands shifted over her fluttering heart. But he would have stayed anyway for me. You're staying right here. Tsunade turned to the remaining squad. All of you go before Naruto's trail goes cold. As they obeyed, her focus settled back on the stalwart Hyuga. I recognized that look. Her expression was always the same with Dan. Just because you're Hayashi's daughter doesn't mean you're getting off easy though. She smirked and gestured at her piles of paperwork. From now on, you're my assistant. I would prefer to be thrown in prison with Naruto. Do you want visitation rights? Conjugal. She shot her a look. You're not married. Yet. Walking over, Hinata took Shizen and Aoba's place. Now, what is this about a trade deal with the sand? The 9 ninja were dead silent as they walked through the halls of the Hokage residence. Too much was at stake as there was to talk about. Civilian and what little shinobi staff there was gave them odd looks but knew they had something important to do. While they didn't want to think about it, there would definitely be war if they failed. Their village lost too much face, and an alliance with the sand would be seen as a potential threat to the others, even if they were battered. All were distracted by one thing though. Oh my fuck, Sakura said, breaking the silence. Tenten glanced at a seething Niji before shaking her head. She is hopelessly in love with him. Isn't it beautiful? Ino wiped a tear from her eye. They fit each other perfectly. Lord Hayashi will never allow it. Niji said, balling his hands into fists. More tears fell. Forbidden love! Are you all really thinking about that right now? Shikamaru almost punched the nearest wall when the 4 of them, and Shino nodded. Yes. Kiba groaned. We are going to fucking die. I know range fire and lightning jutsu, Sasuke said. I'll take care of this, Kimimaro. How well do you do against Naruto? Shikamaru asked. He hummed. In pure taijutsu, we are evenly matched when I use my Sharingan. We've never fought against each other with ninjutsu or genjutsu. Do you know what the Rasengan is? It's a ball of pure swirling chakra. Kakashi-sensei said only 4 people ever mastered, Naruto and himself included. Sakura said. What does it do? Shikamaru clucked his tongue when they shrugged. Troublesome. Has Naruto really become that much stronger than us? Kiba asked, voicing some of their innermost insecurities. Hinata managed to best him with her ultimate attack, but she had to take him off guard first. Shino said. Sakura swallowed the growing lump in her throat. I know some genjutsu that could create an opening. My clan jutsu can create openings too, Ino said, smirking. Better than yours since he'll recognize them. Actually, chances are you'll meet the 9 tails if you go into his head, he can hear it. Shikamaru, attracting more than a few questioning eyes, said. Since when? How am I supposed to? Drifting off, he and a few others went through a few thoughts. Niji scoffed. Don't tell me you think Naruto is listening to it. We all know how he's like. He didn't flinch at the few scornful looks he got. I once said he used to be the sweetest little boy until one day he wasn't, Sakura said, more to herself than anyone else. Sasuke parted his lips, paused, and frowned. He told us Mizuki was the one who let him know he was a Jinchuriki. Shino murmured. The way he talked about hearing a voice in his head made it sound like he's always known. He kept calm as almost everyone else grimaced. He found out the truth in the worst way possible. Shikamaru shook his head. Tenten looked down. Don't know he could keep a secret like that for so many years, but everyone else kept it from him and the rest of us. How could you trust anyone after that? Kiba asked. I mean, it took a fucking traitor of all people to tell him the truth. And we were only told when he nearly lost it back in the Chunin exams arena, Ino said. Yeah. Sasuke stared out into nothing, attracting a concerned glance from Sakura. That was awful. It took them little time to reach the main gate. Patrolling shinobi and civilian passerby shot them looks while they rushed through but didn't say anything. Kotetsu and Izumo did their best to ignore them for some reason, not that they really cared. The sight of the forest-surrounded path ahead was unusually foreboding. Death was a big possibility for any of them. Shikamaru stepped forward and turned to face them all. All right, Lady Hokage said to pick a leader, so... He blinked at the utter lack of response. Come on, really? My heart feels like it's going to shoot out of my chest, Sakura said. Sasuke shook his head. I wish I could say it should be me, but I can't. Troublesome. Shikamaru looked to Kiba. Got a scent? The Inuzuka nodded. It's mixed up with a few other people, but I can sure as hell make out the scent of blood. He chuckled. Hinata really did fuck him more than one way. Niji's glare made him jolt. I didn't expect her to be the one to catch up first, Tenten said, putting a comforting hand on her teammate's shoulder. Ino whined. She surpassed all of us in the field of love. That's enough of that. Shikamaru focused on his sole female teammate. Be on the lookout for Naruto's chakra or any chakra signature you don't recognize. He looked to Shino and Kiba. You two are leading us to him. Shifting to Niji, he pointed at his eyes. When we approach the enemy, I want you to survey the area with your Byakugan before we engage. His attention moved to them as a whole. All of us have been training nonstop to match our runaway delinquent. We probably won't ever have a better chance than this to showcase just how much we've improved. Your safety is a priority of mine as your team leader, but we're under special orders by the Hokage to sacrifice our lives if need be. He turned to face the path ahead. Let's do this. With those words, he led them toward their objective. Choji moved close to him in their mishmash formation. Hey, he whispered. You've barely said anything. He looked down. I'm scared. So am I. He patted his friend's shoulder. But we have to go forward. I know. I never thought Naruto would do something like this. Shikamaru frowned. Neither did I. He glanced at the faces around them. And I don't think any of us did either. None of it felt real yet. Despite receiving orders from the Hokage herself and the news from one of their own, they couldn't quite believe what they heard, even though he was the likeliest one out of them to go rogue. His accomplishments since graduating spoke for themselves. He acted out, but he, to their knowledge, never did anything approaching the level of treason. There was a missing piece to the equation none of them were in the mind to see. The moment Naruto's head hit the camp bed, he lost consciousness. While he was still together enough to be physically active after Hinata's attack, his mind was exhausted from the whirlwind of emotions. He was coasting off the newfound passion in his heart when he left through the front gate. It was good for him the sound ninja set a camp nearby to rest. Stray beams of sunlight made his eyes flutter open. A lack of throbbing in his torso let him know he was healed, not that it surprised him. Memories of laying down with Enko in his mind told him his clone had done its part. You're finally awake. Kimimaro held out a hand. He pushed himself up. We should get going. He laughed. Really, we should have headed off straight after I left. He looked to the land of rice. Said goodbye to the wrong person, I take it? Something like that. Stretching, he yawned. There's no one left in the village that can stop me, much less the two of us put together. Not even Tsunade? He scoffed. I was already kicking her ass before you pinned her to the ground, but if she does show her floppy tits, try not to lose your arm again. Kimimaro paid Taiya's muffled snicker no mind. I don't know whether your bravado is well-warranted or foolish. He started walking, prompting them to follow. It took a few minutes' worth of travel away from the abandoned campsite for trouble to rear its head. Two jonin they vaguely recognized flickered into view, reaching for ninja tools in their pouches. They stopped at the sight of one particular member of their odd group. Considering the state of the village, he would have never been sent out, and there were no signs of duress on his face or in his body language. Naruto, Genma said. What are you doing out here? Rado glared at those he recognized. With enemies of the leaf no less. He focused on the Jinchuriki. The ones that kept Lord Third trapped with Orochimaru. You were there? Naruto turned to Kimimaro. He eyed the duo with disinterest. I was tasked with safeguarding these four while they kept the barrier in place. He admits it, Rado yelled. Naruto spared the jonin a glance and hummed. So can these four handle them or? He tilted his head at the Kagaya's shrug. I have no idea who these two are. Then let's send them in anyway. He chuckled at the sound four's uneasy looks and the club members' disbelief. Not like you need them, right? Kimimaro looked to them before pointing at their enemy. Attack! With those orders, they activated their curse marks and got into formation, Sakan and Jirobo taking the front while Taiya and Kadamura jumped back. Sakan drew a kunai just in time for a wind-enhanced needle to be spat into the side of his neck. Jirobo, seeing them make hand signs, slammed his hands into the ground, creating a wall of earth. Taiya lifted her flute to her lips while Kadamura weaved his hands through a strange substance in his mouth. Genma dodged a kunai before finishing his seals the same time Rado did. A blast of wind left his lips as a ball of fire left his partner's. Their jutsu combined into a scorching blast that overwhelmed the earth defense, even forcing Naruto and Kimimaro to jump aside. Not letting up, they went through another set of hand signs. He concentrated water chakra into his palm, shot a vortex at a tree over their defense to splash impure water on them, and watched Rado throw a thunderclap arrow into the stream. Several cries of agony made them smile. Naruto, behind a tree by Rado, made the shadow clone jutsu sign. 4 of him rushed toward the Jonin, 2 sliding to grab his legs and the other pair bounced stepping to him. They secured the lower limbs before he could jump away. When he was forced onto the ground, the remaining clones locked his arms. The real one walked out to wave at Genma before Kimimaro, emerging from the earth, ran a sharpened ulna through his gut. I suppose I should have expected as much. He tore the bone out, slipped to the Jonin's side, hooked his arm, broke it, swept his leg, and drove the makeshift short spear into his chest. Did I ever mention how hardcore your Kekkei Genkai is? Naruto created a Rasengan in his hand as he walked over to the other. Because it's probably the most brutal thing I've ever seen. Rado's eyes widened at the jutsu he only ever saw one person perform. That's... He could fully put together the resemblance without the forehead protector. Lord Fourth? His eyes shut when the swirly death ball approached his face. Dispelling the jutsu, Naruto tapped his fingers against the man's face. I tell you to take care. He stood up and snapped his fingers, commanding his clones to snap his limbs. But I don't know you. The clones poofed away as their victim began to scream. Kimimaro removed his cast-off ulna from Genma's lung. 2 Jonin with complementing jutsu, likely a small team coming back from a mission. Swiping the bone free of blood, he walked away from his heaving foe. Are we even going the right way? Naruto yelled through Rado's screams. He parted his lips, paused, and pointed more to the left. I was a bit off. Tayuya, somewhat electrically burned, stomped toward the fallen. You motherfuckers! Kimimaro holding out his bone made her freeze. We don't have time for that. Walking in the correct direction, he paid the rest of the approaching, wounded squad no mind. Lord Orochimaru despises waiting. Shouldn't we be rushing then? Naruto asked, following. Running leaves obvious tracks and makes us more noticeable. Very unwise in enemy territory. We've already encountered returning shinobi. If the wrong one catches onto our trail, we may fail Lord Orochimaru. The longer we stay here doesn't help either. Correct, but it is better to take the cautious route. Naruto clucked his tongue. Being cautious doesn't get you anything. On the contrary, it's what's gotten us this far. He glanced at him. You're only used to your way of doing things. Not really. I've been doing things by other people's ways for most of my life. After this, everything's going my way. He grinned. If Kimimaro had a sense of humor, he would have laughed. Lord Orochimaru will have more than a few things to say about that. Man, you are such a buzzkill. The 6 of them, after several more minutes of walking, entered a clearing in the forest. It was beautiful but dangerous. Enemies could latch on to trees from all sides and bombard them with kunai and shuriken. While the flat terrain ensured an even close-quarters battle, wise ninja would take the ranged route. They were lucky no one was attacking them. Naruto! An assortment of voices cried when they neared the other side. Told you! Naruto spun along with them to face their pursuers, who dropped down in the center of the clear space. Grandma Tsunade would send all of you, wouldn't she? Orochimaru wants you to join him so he can take over your body. Sakura yelled. He remained unfazed as almost all the sound ninja by him panicked. Had a feeling it was something like that. He scoffed at the confused looks on his former peers. Do you really think I'm stupid enough to think he has my best intentions at heart? Tenten frowned. Do you really hate us that much? A confused quint from him added to her own confusion. Who the fuck are you again? You really are an asshole. Kiba scoffed. How could you forget a comrade? He twitched at his complete lack of acknowledgement. Shino murmured. When we were watching Sasuke's fight with Gaara, you stood up for me, even though you say it was for yourself. I can't speak for the rest, but I understand why you're doing this. That doesn't mean I can just let you go though. Please come willingly. None of you could understand, and I'm not being a self-pitying shithead when I say that. Naruto looked down, a bitter smile on his face. If I told you right now, you wouldn't believe me. For not being a self-pitying shithead, you sure sound like one. Shikamaru, crouching down and forming the rat sign, said. He rolled his eyes as he brought his fingers together, creating well over a dozen shadow clones to more than render his jutsu ineffective. What now, genius? Naruto! Ino yelled, tears building in her eyes. What about Hinata? To her joy and everyone else's disbelief, all of them began to swoon. Oh, Hinata! Another nodded. I love Hinata! You love Hinata! Its kin embraced it. I love Hinata! I love Hinata more! Another clone squared up. No one loves Hinata more than me! One Naruto got between them both. Hey! Blushing, it held itself. Hinata would love all of us! They collectively cooed. Hinata! The real Naruto dispelled all the others, face bearing a look of earnest worry. Is she alright? Ino wiped the tears from her cheeks. Why yeah. Lady Hokage is just making her do some paperwork. She sobbed. That fucking bitch! His eyes flashed red. She cried even harder. I told you that you were a romantic. Shut up, Ino pig. What they did was... Sakura's face turned as pink as her hair, driving Sasuke's to do the same. That's just... I mean... She whined. You're taking Naruto away! Naruto smirked. Bye. Stop it! Niji's knuckles turned white. After what you did to Hinata, The hatred they all felt at the arena returned in a subdued form as a red cloak of chakra bubbled over Naruto. After what you did? He stomped forward, making them step back. I should have fucking killed you back in that arena for touching a single hair on her head, you piece of shit! His eyes faded back to cold blue and the cloak dissipated at the memory of her words that day. But I didn't because she told me it would have been pointless, and I thought as much at the time. A grin spread across his face while Ino's sobbing grew. Right now, I'm itching to kill you. Kimimaro placed a hand on his shoulder. Lord Orochimaru is waiting for us ahead. With a gesture of his other, he gave a command to the somewhat amused Sound 4. Finally doing things my way? He shrugged. I suppose you could say that. Jirobo slammed his hands down, creating a dome of earth around the 9 ninja before they could escape. Looks like I'm having breakfast after all. Laughing, he planted his hands against the prison. Is that going to hold? Naruto asked. Kimimaro turned him back to direction of the land of rice and began running. They're already dead. Oh. Following, he glanced down. Just in case. Putting his fingers together, for Naruto spawned into existence, one of which went back. What are you doing? I'm the objective. If they break out, they'll be forced to choose between leaving people behind or fighting all at once. That fat ass isn't going to last long if they dogpile him, so my clone will help stall. If they decide to split up to reach us faster, they have to leave more people behind. You're obviously too important to sacrifice like these idiots are. We'll be more than a match if they reach us. He hummed. Good thinking. He looked at the doppelgangers. You intend for them to take damage? We can take it. One punched a hand into an open fist. Another nodded. The main man's been too cautious about using us to our full potential. It's not like we're going out of our way to take fatal blows or anything. The last chuckled. Just a lot more mileage if we choose to take more hits. Even if we do get obliterated, it's not that much chakra. The fatigue and experience are transferred back, and your concentration is divided until then, Kimimaro said. Naruto and his clones smirked. Didn't you learn anything from our fight? I can take it. 1/5 of me is more than enough for most of them. If they break out, they're probably out already. He scoffed. Back in the Earth Dome, the 9-leaf shinobi had sweat dripping from their brows. 2 of their force-oriented comrades failed to break through it. What little damage they did was automatically repaired. Something was obviously off about the structure. Sakura tried to move through it with her earth chakra, but the jutsu cancelled out her manipulation. I was planning on using this against that Kimimaro, but I guess now is as good a time as any. Sasuke brought his fingers together for the dragon sign. Don't! Sakura grabbed his hand, making him stop. That jutsu uses too much chakra! Niji activated his Byakugan and narrowed his eyes. If we don't do something soon, none of us will have any. He scowled. We're being drained as we speak. Sasuke gave his teammate a comforting smile. You know I can use it more than I first could. When she relented with a blush that made Ino seethe, he finished the set of signs and concentrated lightning chakra into the center of his palm. I wonder what would have happened if I struck Gaara's dome like this. It was somewhat more difficult to perform with the tug on his chakra, but the signature chirping of his jutsu filled the prison. Holy shit! Tenten stared with the rest of them at the vibrant blue in his hand. Lightning blade? He jumped back and charged at the wall. Chidori! The death trap burst open, forcing Jirobo back. Damn it! His eyes widened at the one who broke it. Yo! The sight of 9 approaching shinobi stopped him. Hey! A Naruto clone jumped down at his side. Figured you could use some help. It grinned at the uneasy crowd of his old comrades. Come on! Weren't you all waiting for this since you heard I made Jonin? Scoffing, it narrowed its eyes. Don't pussy out now. And so it began. Chapter 37 Broken Bonds. Someone could cut the tension with a knife. Even though they all knew it couldn't be the real Naruto, it was at least half of his ridiculous reserves of chakra. It could have been explosive, but they would have been dead already if that were the case. He was the type to needlessly play around. They doubted he cared at all for the member of his escort left behind. I'll handle this, Shino said, holding out his arms to unleash a swarm of bugs. Jirobo raised an eyebrow at the tide of insects before trying to punch them. What the? He stared as they began to crawl over his body. The Naruto clone, on the other hand, ran away from its pursuing cloud. Nope, 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 nope. There. Jirobo smirked. I see. He began to draw chakra from the creatures as they sucked at his. That's not going to work on me. Sinking into the ground, he disappeared from sight. On your guard! Sakura yelled. Niji activated his Byakugan while Kiba sniffed, Sasuke looked around with his Sharingan, and Ino concentrated on their enemy's chakra. Behind us! Emerging with a giant boulder that cast a shadow over them in his hands, Jirobo grinned at their variety of shocked and scared faces. Sphere of Graves! He threw it with a cry. Scatter! Shikamaru ordered. Choji made 2 hand signs, expanded into a similar shape, and launched himself into the falling rock, shattering it into more easily avoided rubble. He didn't let up. The last of his momentum ground to a halt against the sound 4 members' hands. Like a soccer ball, he was kicked up before being launched back with a shoulder thrust. His jutsu wore off, so he had to endure the full brunt of the blow. Nice try, fat ass! The Naruto clone, running back towards them, shouted. It laughed when he stood back up. I meant the other one, dumbass! You're still calling me fat. Well, you are. Kiba, Sasuke, and Niji rushed Jirobo while Choji seethed but were impeded by an earth wall. Tricky bastard! He went underground, Sasuke said, eyes following his trail. Tenten opened a weapon storage scroll and grabbed hold of the Dedeo blades that came out in each hand, influencing Sakura and Ino into drawing kunai. Point him out. Their eyes followed Sasuke and Niji's fingers towards their position. From their enemy's point of view, they were the most defenseless, so he was going for them. Both boys, taking a pointer from Naruto, timed Jirobo's movements for them with snaps of their free fingers. A barrage of shuriken sent them diving to the ground before they could counter surprise attack. Jirobo emerged and scrunched his face. What the hell? He sunk back under when Shikamaru's shadow grew towards him. The insect-evading Naruto clone chuckled. Saved you, fat ass. It steered out the path of a kunai thrown by Tenten and flipped them off. All of you fucking suck. We're wasting time. Shikamaru grit his teeth. There are 3 other sound ninja like this one and probably 3 other clones of Naruto to go with them. Judging by the concentration of chakra in the clone, there are 4 in total. Sasuke said. His eyes narrowed. Then they're sacrificing allies to stall. If we rush past, they'll be at our back. We'll be open for a flanking. We have to end these fights fast or split up. You are failing super hard on that fast part. The clone Naruto taunted. Tenten twitched as she threw more shuriken at it, one in its direction and the other where she thought he would move. Oh, shut up. Make me, you flat bitch. It jumped over them all, made a short-lived clone to throw it away from one while it was in the air, and kept running from Shino's swarm. Let me stay. She turned to Shikamaru with a determined, furious look on her. Niji shook his head. This opponent has abilities you cannot counter. I'll do it. No, Shikamaru said. Your Byakugan is better than Ino's sensor abilities, and we can't let Naruto go. He turned to Sasuke, who was parting his lips. We need you to deal with Kimimaro. Sakura raised her free hand. I'll do it. I know our style, and Ino Pig can't do anything against this guy either. Hey! Ino yelled, glaring at her smirking face. It's true, Choji, walking over, said. I'll stay too. Kiba stepped forward. You need someone who's CA. A friendly hand on his shoulder from Shino cut him off. We both know you can't smell through the earth. My bugs can't absorb chakra from him or smell him either, so we're both out. Where is he now? Sakura asked. Sasuke looked. A few feet below ground. Likely thinking of a way to fight all of us at once, Niji said. Now's our chance to move forward unimpeded. The clone Naruto growled. You fat fucking pussy! Get back up here and fight! Shino, you can take your bugs back, Sakura said, locking her eyes on it. Are you sure about this? Sasuke asked as Shino made his insects retreat. Don't you want to bring back the real one? We'll catch up soon enough. There are a lot of things I want to say to him. Ino scoffed. We all have things we want to say. Enough talking. Shikamaru looked in the direction the other five went. They're getting away. Choji took out a tight-shut bag from his pouch. Before that, he opened it and presented its contents to them. Take one of these soldier pills. A smile formed on his lips. We all missed out on breakfast, right? They each shared looks with one another before taking a pill. All were on the biggest mission they'd likely ever be given and against some of the strongest ninja they'd ever face. Whatever little help they could get, they would take. More than a few of them doubted it'd be enough though, their objective being who it was and the parameters to which they were ordered to retrieve him. You would dope yourselves! The Naruto clone scoffed. Haven't you idiots learned anything? It crossed its arms. True power isn't in jutsu, your body, or other things, it's something you become. Dropping into a stance, it narrowed its eyes. Let me show you! Go! Sakura went through a series of one-handed seals the clone wouldn't recognize while the 7 other ninja took off. It raised an eyebrow at a stream of cherry blossoms headed for it. They vanished a second later. Was that supposed to be a genjutsu? It almost laughed at her confused face. I'm pretty much immune to that now. How? The end. The sight of Choji expanding made it freeze. Human boulder! The Naruto clone made the snake sign, clapped his hands, and shot a gale at the ground to launch him over the rolling human wrecking ball. If that's all you've got, you won't be able to even scratch me. Seeing Sakura throw her kunai, it created a clone to throw itself out of their way and take the ninja tool in its place. Hey, whatever the hell your name is, almost everyone left. Jirobo emerged from the ground and cracked his hands. Good. He scoffed at their opponents. They left behind the flunkies, huh? Takes one to know one. Hey! Sakura, dropping into a stance, twitched. Prove me wrong. It held its arms out by its sides. Seems to me you just got handed Chunin out of pity. She launched herself at it. Before getting in range, she planted her foot down, wary of the same mistake Sasuke made during their spar, to slow herself down. It was a move she was certain Naruto with full concentration wouldn't fall for, which was why she was using it on his clone. She set down her other foot, bent her knees, and sprung up. It barely managed to put its arm up in time. The halt just before entering its range confused it. Memories of training with Hana came to mind at the little trick and the pain in its arm. Differences between the two moments was the intensity of it. A well-executed flying knee kick like hers would have knocked almost anyone out when received directly. Knowing better than to let gravity carry her down, she placed a hand on the clone's shoulder to flip herself behind it. She stepped back from a blind elbow out of its range before spinning and kicking out its leg, following up with another spinning kick to his other. It caught itself in time to catch her punches, but she mounted it before it could slip away or do anything. Fuck off me! It pulled back its head to slam its forehead against her face for it to meet hers. I know you're angry, looking for belonging, and sick of the villagers' bullshit. Sakura's vision blurred. But if you go down this road, there will be nothing of you left. Tears streamed down her cheeks onto its face. Kakashi-sensei, Irika-sensei, Enko-sensei, I am, Tsuchi, Master Jiraiya, Lady Tsunade, Hinata, and everyone else will be in your way, even if Orochimaru gives you what you want. She sobbed. We love you. We're your family. I've never had any brothers or sisters, but when I'm with you, I wonder if that's what it's like having a bratty little brother. Her watering green eyes gazed warmly yet sadly into his wide blue. I'm begging you, Naruto. The clone looked away, blinked, and smiled. My actual family is dead. It laughed at her confusion. Your love is so painful and selfish. It laughed again, bitterness unrestrained. Everything that should have been mine was given to all of you on the day I was born. Gritting its teeth, it glared into her eyes with red. There was already nothing of me left. It pushed her off and stood to its feet. Right after I built myself up, you asked me to give it all away. She rolled away from a jumping stomp. You're going to hurt so many people. Drawing a shuriken from her pouch, she threw it at the clone before it could move again. What about me, damn it? It hopped over the shuriken and punched her down as she tried to stand herself up. When the hell am I going to be the one who comes first? That's not. She stared into the grass in realization of the truth in its words. It chose to stand over her rather than take advantage of her shock. You were sent here to bring back the village's weapon, not save me. But Orochimaru, no different than the village. At the very least, I'm choosing this for myself. Are you really going to take that from me? I have to. This is why it took me so long to realize what love is. It scoffed. How can you know when no one ever really sacrificed anything or tried so hard for your sake? Its heart fluttered as it smiled. Like Hinata actually did for me. She furrowed her brow. And what about Anko-sensei? I love her too, but her love is more selfish, maybe even more selfish than yours. Only difference is her love made me happy. Even though I played with her tits and tried to have sex with her, I wonder if that's what it felt like to have a mother. You. Twitching, it shot her a look. You try growing up without family, friends, or anyone to depend on and see how fucked up your bonds are. It pulled back its fist only for her to sink into the earth, making it strike the ground. Ah fuck. It shifted into a handstand to avoid her snatching its feet. Choji's own battle was going poorly. His opponent's physical strength and skill with taijutsu was beyond him. While he always kept a pack of his clan's special soldier pills since his team began training, it was a bad idea to use them so early. They weren't even fighting the real Naruto. Consuming any of the 3 pills at their current stage would be a waste, but he had little choice if he wanted to win. He fished the container from his pouch, opened the first box, and threw the green spinach pill into his mouth. Getting one last bite in, fat ass? Jirobo smirked. Sakura! He didn't spare her a glance, knowing he'd leave himself open if he did. We have to focus on one of them at a time. She turned to him as the Naruto clone jumped back. Right. Focusing on Jirobo, she ran toward him and went through one-handed seals. Please! Jirobo fell to the ground convulsing. Choji expanded himself into a ball again. He's mine! He mustered all the force he could into slamming himself against the defenseless foe. Earth, bones, and flesh broke beneath him. Returning to normal, he stepped out of the crater with a smile on his face. We did it, Sakura! You worthless fat fuck! Jirobo yelled, voice far hoarser. Sakura's eyes widened at the balding, flattened young man rising with a full head of hair, red skin, yellow on black eyes, face lines, and warts covering his shoulders and forehead. What the hell? Did Grandma Tsunade forget to tell you about the curse marks? The Naruto clone, strolling by and making them back off, asked. Kind of important. It looked down at Jirobo. Since your dumbass managed to get stomped by Choji of all people, you follow my lead from now on. Get lost, you yellow-haired asshole! It narrowed its eyes. Care to repeat that? Jirobo's hands balled into fists. I've had enough of your bullshit. He stomped up towards the clone. You're forgetting who you're talking to. It held out its hand and concentrated chakra into the center of its palm. I'm going to give you one more chance to shut the fuck up and do what I say before I kill you myself. Sakura and Choji shared a look. Both were more than used to Naruto's particular personality traits from years knowing him. They forgot how much he grated on people. The ninjas sent to acquire him were unprofessional young adults, much like yet not like them. With the right words, they could turn him against the clone and change the flow of battle far in their favor. Neither knew it was actually the influence of the cursed seal. I'm not scared of you. That's why you kept your mouth shut, like a little bitch. Wow, Choji said. I didn't know you had to rely on guys like this, Naruto. The clone scoffed, not taking its eyes off Jirobo. I'm not relying on shit. This tub of lard is just more useful to me alive. You are relying on me, he yelled. Naruto, you are being pretty cruel to someone just trying helping you, Sakura said, feigning concern. It shot her a look as it held an arm out at the sound ninja. Why the hell do you care about how I treat this fat sack of crap? His rage-filled cry and the satisfied looks on their faces made it realize what their intentions were. I'll kill you! Jirobo stomped forward and punched only for his target to lean away. It formed a Rasengan in its hand before ramming it into his face. Cartilage, bone, and brain warped before his entire body was blown back. Trees were broken apart by his flying, headless corpse until the last of the force dissipated, leaving it embedded in one. Sakura gaped with wide eyes alongside Choji. Holy shit. Can he only do one of those or? Choji asked, hoping her answer was yes. I can do as many as I need to, the clone answered. Now. Turning to them, it dusted off its hands. Where were we? Their shaking bodies made it chuckle. I'm only a fifth of the main man. That reminder made them even more frightened. Neither of you would even last 30 seconds, much less a minute, against the real me. Shadow clone. Sakura turned to Choji as inspiration struck. I have a plan. He nodded, still facing their last enemy. Before that, swallowing a lump in his throat, he forced a smile. Do you remember all the times we went to the red light district? It raised an eyebrow. Yeah, why? Remember when we saw Irika-sensei talking to that one woman? He laughed as it did at the memory. Sakura looked from him to it. Irika-sensei with who now? She almost pouted when they kept laughing. What are you doing out here so late? The clone mocked. Choji held his sides. If you tell anyone, I'll put you in detention again. We were there every other day. It shook its head. Easiest money we ever made. He looked down. Those were some of the best days of my life. His smile didn't fade even as sadness crept into his voice. Its heart sank. I never really got to hang out with any of the other kids except for you, sometimes Kiba, and Shikamaru. Even though we hit each other's nerves, I didn't think you were a bad guy. We had some good times, right, Naruto? Yeah. It was fun. They stood silent. While the real Naruto tried to hurt Choji more than a few times, it was often because he touched his biggest nerve. Same went for Choji whenever he brought up his weight. Neither knew it was probably the worst time in each other's lives. Children rarely spoke about their problems, sometimes incapable of even seeing them as such. It was just the way things were, and they had to deal with it on their own or with the guidance of others. Only one of them was ultimately alone with a being that tormented him more than anyone else ever did. Make an opening, and I'll take care of the rest, Sakura said. Choji looked back up to their enemy. I got it. He stepped forward and froze. Actually, Sakura, how deep in the ground can you go? Theoretically, I can keep going until my chakra runs out. Perfect. He formed the ram's seal. You might want to do that right now. She raised an eyebrow as he made the special sign of his clan. Why would I? Her eyes widened as he grew large enough to tower over the clearing. Oh. With those words, she immediately sank into the earth. The Naruto clone's jaw dropped. You've gotta be fucking kidding me. It felt the ground shake as he jumped. Oh shit. Bringing its fingers together, it did the only thing it thought it could do, create as many clones as possible. To Choji's utter disbelief, he sank for a moment but didn't actually smash into the ground. Countless little poke-like feelings dotted his body. He lay there lost for a few seconds before a familiar chorus reached his ears. The thought never crossed his mind. All read about how ants could carry several thousand times their own body weight and work together to lift heavy things in the academy. But he wasn't dealing with a swarm of ants. Over 1,000 clones were holding him up with trembling arms filled with all the chakra they could concentrate into them. We are Naruto! 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 I can't. He drifted off as he shrunk back to normal. While he increased his chakra reserves massively since the Chunin exam, he couldn't maintain the super expansion jutsu even with the first colored pill. Just because Tsunade ordered them to sacrifice themselves if need be didn't mean he was open to it. There was still a chance with the curry pill, even if it would be far more painful than the spinach. The original clone laughed before the others poofed out of existence. You fucking madman! It clapped its hands while walking over. That almost got me! Just a couple of more seconds and splat! Had he decided to stomp it from on high then give it so much surface area to work with, it knew it wouldn't have survived. You've gotten stronger, Choji. It smiled, warm yet sad. Just needed to fight a little more smarter. Like this. Sakura emerged from the ground with an uppercut. Scoffing, it caught her fist. Not smart to announce your surprise, Ada. Breaking earth emanated behind him before cold steel pierced his spine. I know, the real Sakura said. That's why I didn't. It blinked as the clone became smoke. Forbidden jutsu everyone and their mother knows. Why aren't you disappearing? She looked down at her bloodied kunai and the crippling wound before swallowing an anxious lump in her throat. Placing a hand on her shoulder that made her jump, it smiled. Relax. I really am just a clone. It looked back with warm eyes. You've come a long way, Sakura. Please leave the main man alone. Its vision blurred. I really don't want to hurt you, but if you go through with this, you will end up hurting me, whether you like it or not. Do you have any idea what will happen if you do go and word reaches the other villages? It laughed and grinned. Actually, I'm counting on it. Tears left its eyes. You'll be alright, I know you will. It disappeared in a poof of smoke, leaving nothing behind but the words Naruto wanted to. Sakura sat down, took a deep breath, and sighed. Hey Choji? Why yeah? He said, putting away his 3-colored pills box. That was fucking awesome. I know, right? They were both winded, one far more than the other, but still alive. While each felt a deep-seated dread at the idea of facing the real Naruto, there was no choice. A great shinobi war would spark if they failed. It would likely kill them if they didn't die there, and Naruto would come back to kill them if even that didn't. Either they succeeded or were extremely lucky not to if they failed. Death was inevitable, but most wanted to go naturally. Both hoped the rest of the team was having better luck. It didn't take long for the 7-leaf ninja to catch up after leaving 2 in their group behind. On top of an Inuzuka and Hyuga, they had a sensor ninja, an Aburame, and even the Sharingan to track their objective. The only thing they really lacked was heavy hitters on the same level as their enemies. None of them could say for sure they could match their current Hokage in battle, which was exactly what 2 of their foes did. We need to catch them by surprise and stop them from advancing any further. Shikamaru looked to Ino. I'll use my shadow possession jutsu, and you'll use your mind-body disturbance jutsu in case I mess up. He went through the hand seals of the transformation jutsu, taking the form of Naruto. Let's make them think we never escaped. He focused on the rest. Once you hear me call out or hear the sound of fighting, come rushing in. Ino transformed into Jirobo, to her disgust. I'm gonna need a shower when this is all over, and I need to slap Naruto for Hinata. She loves him too much to do that. Oblivious to Niji's scowl, she followed Shikamaru onward. Loved him enough to skin him alive, Kiba muttered. The Naruto's, remaining sound 4 members, and Kimimaro turned their heads when they heard the 2 approaching. When they saw them, doubts immediately rose to mind. It was subtle, but they looked far too amused. Jirobo was normally stoic, though he did enjoy thrashing those he thought inferior to himself, and Naruto knew he would look far more conflicted if he even bothered showing any emotion at all after everyone he knew died. Hey! Ino greeted. Kimimaro focused back on the path ahead. Kidamaru. Right. Kidamaru stopped, faced them, and spat out a web, sticking them to a tree. Too easy! An overhead shadow drew his eye. Like I'd fa. His lips thinned into a line at the attacker before he jumped away from 2 drill-like figures. When a swarm of insects flew after him, he spat another web to contain them as he trapped the kibis and suspended himself with web made from his 6 arms' sweat. Several shuriken flew at him, but they were intercepted by other shuriken. A Naruto clone smirked at Tenten's glare. Did the other Naruto tell you how much you suck? It looked out at the 6. You would have to leave 3 behind. The sight of Niji jumping behind its would-be ally made it see red. Behind you! I know. Spinning himself around, he avoided Niji's blow, and encased him in a giant web shot from his hands. Nice try! He focused on the 3 free ones left before shooting web at 2 of them, who took cover behind the tree trunks. Try me! Tenten returned fire, drawing his attention to just her, and began moving from trunk to trunk. The kibis swiped at the odd bindings around their feet to no avail. What the hell is this? This is really bad! Shikamaru, back in his normal form, struggled against his. Ino whined, also back to normal. This is so gross. She gagged at the thought of being cannibalized by the Spider-Man. Sasuke drew a kunai, channeled lightning chakra through it, and jumped to the real Kiba's position. Let me try. Crouching down, he drove the enhanced ninja tool through the web. It works. Why isn't he attacking you? Kiba asked, having noticed Kidamaru ignoring Sasuke's presence. I don't know. He leapt to the transformed Akamaru and began cutting his bindings. Hold on. The Naruto clone was too busy glaring at the trapped Hyuga to realize what was happening. You! It concentrated chakra into the palm of its hand before lunging at him with a Rasengan. Byakugan activated, Niji could see the clone coming and the internal structure of the chakra-maintained web. He could tell the jutsu in its hand would kill him, even if he somehow managed to put up his rotation. Several precise emissions of chakra from his tenketsu freed him from his dangerous position. Gravity pulled him below the clone's path. Shikamaru's eyes widened as a swarm of bugs flew over their own webbing. Shino? Yes. He, clinging to the tree behind them, said. These webs are maintained by chakra. It's a bit difficult, but my bugs can eat through them. He peeked out at Kidamaru and saw Niji narrowly avoid getting killed by the Naruto clone. It seems I'll have to stay. I don't know if this is better or worse, Ino said, attracting a look from her teammate. Shino and I can handle this. Niji saw they were all free. The rest of you go onward. The 5 ninja and Akamaru shared looks with each other from their cover. Sasuke was capable of cutting through the odd material, but he was their only bet against Kimimaro. At minimum, there were 2 more obstacles after Kidamaru. They already did a poor job against the first as a group. It didn't make splitting up any better, yet they'd lose their objective if they didn't. Niji shot a small smile at Tenten. We'll catch up with you all later. He got into a stance. This will be over quickly. Let's go! Shikamaru yelled, making a break for it and motivating the others to do the same. You're only going to die. Kidamaru, surrounded by webs with stuck ninja tools, scoffed at the young man below him. The Naruto clone glared up at the sound ninja. Don't you dare! It shifted its red eyes down to Niji. I'm going to be the one to fix this mistake. Shino's bugs swarmed over all the webs, aiming to take away Kidamaru's terrain advantage. I can't let you do that, Naruto. He peeked out of cover again. This has nothing to do with you. It yelled, not even acknowledging him with a glance. On the contrary, as Hinata's teammate, this has everything to do with me. If you really do care about her, then why the hell are you getting in my way? Hinata chose to forgive him, just as she chose to face him in combat no matter the risk to her life. He murmured. Need I remind you how that fight ended? It twitched at the memory. Don't you? Gritting its teeth, it growled. I can't let it go anymore. The copy of a heart in its chest thumped. She means too much for me to let him live. I understand, but just as I cannot let you go, I can't let you kill him. Stop me then. It bent its knees and raised its fists. Niji's veiny eyes narrowed at it. You dishonored her by leaving. I'm going to come back for her and raze the village to the ground. It grinned. Out of everyone I'm going to kill, it's only fitting for you to go first. Their fight at the arena seemed like the end of their feud at the time, but Naruto betting Hinata the same day he went traitor was intolerable to Niji. Even worse, he made her an accomplice. He was certain his uncle would not stand for it when he heard the news. On Naruto's end, Niji's horrible treatment of Hinata was unforgivable now that she was his lover. Neither ever thought they'd be fighting the other on her behalf. The irony that both regarded her as pathetic once wasn't lost on them. It was another odd happenstance the ceaseless tides of life threw their way, and they were more than happy to ride it out, especially if it was on the other's blood. Chapter 38, In Another Life. Both old foes ran the other's moves and jutsu through their minds. Almost a month of training passed since their one-sided fight, so the same strategies wouldn't work twice. The gentle fist in its traditional form wouldn't be a threat to Naruto. His clones may have lacked the concentration to counter the style, but Niji knew better than to risk it. None of the arrogance that held him from adapting remained. I don't need to hold back on a clone. Niji darted forward, open hand pulled back. It furrowed its brow at the familiar movements. While it knew he was feinting, his next moves were a mystery. The wisest thing he could do was shut down the tenketsu in its arms to prevent it from using ninjutsu, but it was on the lookout for those pokes. He was going to knock him off balance for an opening, which meant his targets were his liver or his head. Niji thrusted at its liver and clenched his hand during the last moment to punch the clone's lower arm. He stepped back from a left jab to his own while its right hand reached into its pouch. Seeing an opening, he closed the distance with another blow aimed at its liver before throwing an uppercut with his other hand at its chin. Their other enemy creating several golden spikes and throwing them at his back made him jump away though. Stay out of this! The Naruto clone yelled, drawing several shuriken. Or I'll kill you! Kidamaru would have rolled his eyes if it wouldn't create an opening for the Aburame skulking about. Have it your way. He clucked his tongue at an approaching swarm of bugs before wetting them. Scoffing, Niji shook his head. The real Naruto would have never reached for a ninja tool with an enemy in close range. It was a foolish move someone not confident in their abilities and desperate would do. He could tell then that block was meant to be performed with its elbow in the hopes of breaking his hand. The clone was just too slow to react in time. Try this, you douchebag! It infused its breath with wind chakra, blew over the shuriken, and threw giant wind saws horizontally at different heights to prevent escape. He thought of going for cover, but the vacuum shuriken were sharp enough to cut through wood as if it were paper. Running out of their way would have been the best option if he didn't see the clone following up with the snake's sign. It knew how to counter his rotation, so he couldn't rely on his greatest defense, especially when the clone was at range with plenty of ninja tools to spare. Taking a deep breath to calm his nerves, he tilted his body at an angle. The second it clapped its hands was the same time he jumped spinning. His Byakugan let him see which of his tenketsu was in alignment with the core of the saws. A strong emission of chakra from just two directed the center saws back, the upper and lower ones buzzing past him. The clone barely managed to jump over its own weapons. How did you? Growling, it drew and threw a kunai for it to be launched away by a beam of chakra. Fucking Kekkei Genkai loser! Niji landed on his feet without feeling any dizziness. And what does that make Hinata? Don't you dare compare her to you worthless idiots! She's different. It took out more shuriken, which made him conceal his approach behind the trees. How? He ran to another trunk before a vacuum shuriken bisected it. Well? It blinked. Gritting its teeth, it scowled. Shut up! If face-palming didn't have a possibility of alerting it to his presence, he would have. You are blinded by envy and anger, just as I was. He stopped himself in the middle of switching trees when he saw it throw a vacuum shuriken towards the next and where he was, forcing him to jump over them. We are nothing alike! Hands free of shuriken, it began going through the seals of the vacuum sphere jutsu. I'm glad I wasn't born with a Kekkei Genkai. I mean you wish the circumstances of your birth were different, or, at the very least, the same as everyone else's. Their happy smiles and innocent mindsets make you sick. Everything that is theirs feels as though it should have been yours, am I wrong? It stopped on the dog's sign. No. He could read its lips. For the longest time, I was blinded by my own pain. I was just a boy, and I didn't know how to bear it, so I acted like I was beyond everyone around me. A frown formed on his. It was inexcusable, even if I was a child. Except I carried that foolishness into my time as a shinobi. The frown turned into an odd smile. You forced me to realize what an idiot I was. That's one reason why I'm here. His face twisted into a scowl. The other is to drag you back to Lady Hinata, so I can watch Lord Hayashi beat you senseless. The clone began to laugh. I knew that the entire time. It looked down. I wanted to beat the shit out of you because I knew you were full of it. When I finally did, I saw the real you, just some broken kid. Looking back up, it narrowed its eyes. But I'm not doing this or acting this way out of pain. It separated its hands and balled them into fists. I'm taking my life back for my own sake and destroying the village because I hate it. Its lips curved into a smirk. Nothing you or Hinata's dad can do will change the fact I fucked her or that I'm going to do it again, and again, and again after I kill you. Niji ran out from a nearby tree towards it. You wretch. Things on Shino's end were going just about as well as Niji's. Kidamaru could only attack him from afar, his bugs were constantly eating through his webs, and he was going from cover to avoid webs and spikes. He wanted to assist Niji at first, but he proved quick he didn't need his help. While his bugs couldn't reach him, they were still siphoning chakra from the webs he was producing. The sheer amount of it told him he had to be running low. Spiders are supposed to eat bugs, not the other way around. Kidamaru frowned as his spiral-vine pattern curse seal spread over his skin. Time for me to rectify the natural order. A hand grabbing his shoulder made his eyes widen. Another Shino spread its bugs directly onto him. I don't think so. He stood still, even when Kidamaru formed spikes to stab him with. The makeshift weapons dug into his enemy but drew insects instead of blood. What the hell? He felt them crawling all over his skin as he dissipated into a swarm of them. An insect clone? You're not a spider, and I'm not a bug. We are shinobi fighting each other to the death. I've outplayed you. Now you're going to die. He peeked out from his cover and stared at the figure covered in his insects for more than enough time for anyone to be drained dry. A murmur built in his throat when one of his bugs came back to him. Natural armor you can coat yourself with, huh? Drawing a kunai with an exploding tag tied to it, he aimed behind his head where the armor was weakest thanks to his hair preventing a full covering. The bugs dispersed in time to get away from the range of the explosion. Kidamaru would have died if he didn't have the sense to move when the bugs on the back of his head flew away. The force of the explosion still sent him flying back a few feet, but he was still alive with none of his limbs damaged. While he didn't want to admit it, his opponent was a bad match for him. His bugs could sneak up on him, he could only hold them back with his chakra-consuming web, and getting into a far more distant range would have let them team up on his assisting clone. They could track him even if he could get that far, knowing what he knew about the Aburame. Shino watched his opponent run back from his swarms and took cover from a few more spikes. I see. He followed behind the trees. Clever and wise. Damn it! Niji disengaged from the Naruto clone when several more spikes were thrown at him. Hey! It looked up at Kidamaru, who stood on a branch rather than suspending himself with his web. What the fuck did I tell you? Bringing its hands together, it formed the rat sign. He stopped himself from responding in the same tone. I can't deal with the other guy on my own. Let's team up. You're a spider, and he's a bug. What's the big deal? It made the rabbit and dog signs. Well, this bug can eat through this spider's web and has a lot of other bugs to fall back on, so I can't do anything other than potshots. He jumped to another tree branch when the swarm came close. See? Its hands formed the tiger sign. Have you tried rushing him and stabbing him a dozen times? It finished with the bird's sign. He's practically made out of bugs. Fine. Take notes. It took a deep breath and blew a beam of wind into the swarm, killing a good deal of them. Turning to a darting Niji in time, it blew at his center mass. He sidestepped a fatal wound into a grazing one to his side. Planting a foot to his right, he was going to throw himself behind cover before a hasty beam where he would have been told him the clone had his movements scouted. A shot of concentrated chakra from a tenketsu aligned with one of its eyes stopped it from blowing another but didn't stop Kidamaru from trying to throw a spike into him. You son of a bitch! It rubbed its eye as he took cover from the other's fire. Where the fuck was that during our fight? With its other hand, it reached into its pouch. I thought it beneath me. Sandbagging asshole! It blew wind chakra over a shuriken. Niji raised an eyebrow. Sandbagging? He ran behind another tree when it threw a wind saw, narrowly avoiding another spike. Shino! Don't worry. He peeked out from a nearby tree. I've got this. Oh, you sneaky bastard! The Naruto clone looked down at the bugs crawling up its legs. Time to improvise. It made the snake sign, clapped its hands, and focused the gale on itself. A grin spread across its face when the bugs went flying. Was that it? Huh. Shino shared a look with Niji. I might not actually have this. It pointed at Kidamaru. Was that so fucking hard? I don't know how to mold my chakra into wind. He scowled. Then figure it out. Looking into the woods, it scoffed. I was planning on beating the absolute shit out of you until you dropped, but it looks like that's out of the picture. It formed the shadow clone jutsu sign. Time to die. Niji's eyes widened. He can't be. Shino gulped. It's a clone, so I think he is. He turned around. We should run. Agreed. He span on his heel around and joined his ally in scampering away. The Naruto clone created several clones. You know what to do! Blood and dust! They scattered in all directions. Ashes and bone! What are you doing? Kidamaru, watching Shino's insects burrow into the ground, asked. It looked up and smirked. Just watch and enjoy the fireworks. Lifting a hand, it counted down with its fingers. 5, 4, 3, 2. The smirk on its face morphed into a grin. 1. The surrounding forest erupted in explosions. Passing wildlife and greenery were blown away by the force of its explosive shadow clones. Few things in the world could survive a direct blast from them, but any that took the fringes were on borrowed time. It doubted they could have gotten away fast enough to avoid them entirely. Either they were dead, dying, or at the very least far too wounded to continue fighting. Kidamaru gaped at the massive dust clouds while his curse mark retreated. Holy shit! Seriously, do you guys really not know how I beat the one-tail? It walked up the tree to his branch. Orochimaru was there. He only tells us what he thinks we should know. Then I guess he really does see as you fodder. Kind of hard not to when he has guys like Kimimaro to boss around. I can see how you fought him to a standstill. He laughed nervously at the clone putting a hand on his shoulder. It smiled and laughed with him, far more joyfully. When the four of you tried to attack me, I could have killed you in under a minute if I really wanted to. Its eyes squinted at him. While it didn't despise them particularly, they all heard and saw how the real him reacted to mention of Hinata. None of them could go back to Orochimaru alive, not even Kimimaro. That's the other reason why he created them. Kidamaru felt a familiar tickling sensation on his legs. Tricky bastards. He looked down and saw the bugs crawling over him. They're still alive. The clone clucked its tongue, made the snake sign, and clapped its hands to gale palm them away. I was so happy for a second, you pieces of shit. A somewhat scorched Niji ran out of the pervading cloud of dust. Did you really think it'd be that easy? He jumped out of the path of several golden spikes onto their tree and sent a few more away with beams from aligning tenketsu. When they hopped down, he followed after. Kidamaru spat a web at him, but he cut it apart with more tenketsu emissions. The second they were in range was the moment he began to spin. The Naruto clone concentrated chakra into the palm of its hand, but it was too late. It was blown back by the force of a far more powerful rotation than the one the real Naruto faced in the Chunin exams. When it crashed, it lifted up its somewhat broken upper body to see a disheveled Shino in the same stance Niji took at the start of their match. Parallel to him and facing down a recovering Kidamaru, Niji was doing the same. 8 trigrams? He spun on his heel as he did. 2 palms. Shino shot his parasitic insects into the clone rather than chakra. Niji could actually see tenketsu, but he saw the insects had a similar, albeit weaker, effect on the chakra network. 4 palms. Shino thrusted a hand into the clone's chin, sending it up, before thrusting his bugs into various positions in its body. 8 palms! He turned on his heel again in preparation for the next set of strikes. 16 palms! Picking up speed, Niji's tenketsu sealing fingers were a blur. He wasn't as fast, but the Hyuga clan as a whole would have been far too impressed to care how he measured up to their prodigy. 32 palms! The two became the equivalent of poking human whirlwinds. 64 palms! They cried out in unison before slamming their enemies away with an open hand. Clone Naruto skidded across the ground, like a stone skipping across water, until the last of the force was spent. It tried to pick itself up, but the sensation of foreign entities squirming inside made it drop. Gritting its teeth, it roared in anger and agony. Niji was its intended target, but it was beaten back by someone it rode off after negating his swarms with a gale palm. I told you I couldn't let you leave or kill Niji. One of the veins on Shino's forehead bulged. And that was for my bugs? It laughed to spite him and its pain. That's how you survived, huh? The bugs squirmed harder. Fuck! Hinata, at her core, is a kind and gentle person. Her clan looks down on those notions, so she tried to change for their and her own sake. You helped motivate her to overcome, and I'm glad. His tone grew cold. But you're no longer a good influence. Even if she loves you more than anything in this world, I can't let you poison her with your hatred. And to think I thought you were one of the few people back in the academy I was cool with. Eyes turning red, it glared at him. Just another Kekkei Genkai loser to squash beneath my feet. It brought its fingers together. Niji scowled as his opponent rose, clad in the same yellow-gold material he used to make spikes. I should have expected something like this. Now you're going to die. Kidamaru let his curse seal cover and transform him into the second stage. Niji! Shino cried out while another clone spawned into being. Help me fix a mistake. His lips pursed for a moment before he realized his intention. And they call me a genius. He jumped back and ran to it while Shino did the same. Time to BL. The clone blinked when they grabbed its explosive copy. Kidamaru was in the middle of creating an arrow in his mouth to arm his makeshift bow. What who? A yelling Naruto flying through the air towards him made him furrow his brow. He moved aside, not that it mattered. It exploded and blew him apart the moment it touched the ground. Only a crater with his blood and bone was left. Well? Fuck! It held out its palm to form a Rasengan, but it failed to properly form thanks to the bugs eating at its chakra. Damn it! Niji and Shino looming over made it growl. Think you're hot shit because you got a clone, huh? Shifting into laughter, it glared at them. The main man is going to tear you apart. Even if you don't die here, the real me is going to come back to the village and kill the both of you. The parasite's writhing made it grit its teeth. Nothing either of you can do or say will turn Hinata against me or keep her away. She knows what Orochimaru intends for you, Shino said. She wants us to bring you back, so you can be safe. Are you really going to make her worry by going along in spite of it? Red chakra began to bubble over it, killing the parasites inside and making them jump back. I never knew you were such a piece of shit. What the fuck is wrong with you? The cloak dissipated as it scoffed. Of course a disgusting freak would try and use my feelings against me. It smirked at the murmuring Aburame. That was uncalled for, Naruto, Neji said. Again, how hell are you of all people one to say anything? He grit his teeth, looked down, and thinned his lips into a line. It was wrong of me to do what I did all those years ago. I didn't solve anything, and I just made things between us worse, like I did with Lady Hinata. He looked up to the clone. What you're doing now is the same. My family respected you and would have let you marry her if you hadn't done this. There may still be a chance, but I doubt it will be easy. It smiled as its heart fluttered. Hinata and I are going to be a real family, not some stuck-up pricks and their slaves. Neji flinching made it chuckle. Yeah, I know all Abu. An influx of memories came into its head. Oh. I figured that'd happen. Knowing it couldn't do anything against the two, it gave them its middle finger and dispelled itself. Neji turned to Shino. Lady Hinata taught you the 64 palms? She taught me the gentle fist. He clarified. I learned the 8 trigrams 64 palms by watching her attempt it repeatedly on training dummies. That is extremely unprecedented. I know. Hinata won't be in any trouble, will she? It may depend on how Lord Hayashi receives the news of her lover pulling this stunt. Deactivating his Byakugan, he looked in the direction the rest of the group went. Is that the right way? Yes. Shino ran up a tree and began jumping from branch to branch. Neji followed his lead. Good. Neither had much else to say to the other. A fifth of their main objective nearly killed them, and there was an enemy shinobi on the same level up ahead. Naruto seemed far too lost in his hatred to turn back, not that their words helped. Even if they successfully retrieved him, it would be more than difficult to placate him. Hinata alone may not be enough and could be turned against the village if she was willing to let him go in the first place. The entire situation was an absolute mess. Sasuke, Shikamaru, Ino, Tenten, and Kiba more than made up for lost time. While they were down 2 trackers, they still had Kiba and Sasuke to guide the way with Ino as backup. The dwindling size of their team was a growing concern. Shikamaru and Ino's clan jutsu could disable the main threats for only a short while if they really were on the level of Kage, but they were an uneven number. Kiba's nose twitched. They're just up ahead. All right. Shikamaru hummed. If both our groups keep splitting as we have, a single person will be left of ours facing 2. Kimimaro and Naruto. Sasuke furrowed his brow. That one guy beat Lady Tsunade, Tenten said, shooting him a look. And Naruto actually fought on his level. Ino rolled her eyes. Sasuke used to beat him all the time back in the academy, and their teammates. If anyone can beat Naruto, it's him. Back in the academy, we couldn't use grappling in taijutsu, Shikamaru said. The one time Naruto actually did against him was the first time anyone surprised him. He glanced at Sasuke. A lot of things have changed. His hands balled into fists. I know. We attack the moment we catch up, preferably something big to disrupt their cohesion. I'll do it. He spared him another look. I was just about to ask if the rest of you also have exploding tags. He smirked when all but Sasuke nodded. We'll use those instead. Opening his pouch with one hand, he took out a kunai with an explosive tag tied to it with the other. Save your chakra for Kimimaro. It took a little more time for the enemy team to come into sight. The remaining 2 underlings were looking a little anxious. Naruto and his clones were just as they were the last time they saw them. Kimimaro kept leading the way without a care in the world, as if everyone else was just an afterthought. Spreading out, they each chose their targets and threw their kunai. Tayuya spotted one whizzing from the corner of her eye. Oh fuck! She and a Naruto clone that noticed jumped to the left in order to avoid the direction of the explosions. Please! Sakan stopped, caught one, and threw it back. My turn! Making the dragon sign, he hopped towards their right flank of Kiba and Ino. The remaining Naruto clone made the snake sign and clapped its hands, returning the rest at their center with a gale. You dropped this! He blinked as they came into his view. You idiot! The force of the explosion sent him and the two spiraling to the left over a chasm. No, 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 no! Ino cried as they fell down. Kiba held on to a whimpering Akamaru. Just calm down and focus your chakra into your legs. Try to grab the sides. Oh shit! The clone jumped to its left. Are you Stee? Its eyes widened at the darkness below. Ah fuck! Sighing and falling, it shook its head. The main man would be angry if I didn't let myself pop, but he did make us to take damage. A hum built in its throat as it picked up speed. As a clone doomed regardless, should I really care? Shikamaru, Tenten, and Sasuke lunged to the left, avoiding the same fate. Kiba? Their leader picked himself up. You pieces of shit have other things to worry about. Tayuya approached and pulled out her flute. The three of you are about to die. Her clone assist tilted its head. Honestly, I'm pretty sure you're going to die here. She shot at a look. Whose fucking side are you on? We're helping you, dumbass! A shiver ran through her when it narrowed its eyes. And never mind. He focus shifted back to the three. Good bitch. Patting her head for added intimidation, its ire turned to Sasuke. He ignored him in favor for the direction the actual Naruto went. The real one's gone ahead with Kimimaro. I know what you're thinking, but you can't G. Shikamaru clucked his tongue as his body flickered away. Troublesome. Just troublesome. He focused on the twitching clone. You two are so fucking troublesome. Hell are you yelling at me for? It yelled. He twitched. You're the entire reason why we're in this mess. His brow furrowed. We're all risking our lives for you. Oh please. You're doing this for the sake of the village. Do you really think Orochimaru is going to destroy it without changing into your body first? It rolled its eyes. Can we just skip to the part where I tell you to fuck off and try to kill you? Tenten unsealed her dual Dedeo blades. I'm actually really sorry it had to come to this. She squinted at his questioning gaze. Seriously, who are you? It tilted its head. I was in your first academy year with Niji and Lee. Yeah. Snapping its fingers, it nodded. I remember you now. The smile on her face made it laugh. Actually, I don't. Its laugh grew harsher at her deflating. You're just some titless no-ass random bitch. When Tayuya joined it, the clone lifted the back hem of her tunic. At least this one has an ass. You fucking Its fierce gaze made her lower her head demurely. Thank you? It chuckled. That's better. It blinked when the two stared with disturbed looks. What? What? Are you serious? Tenten scoffed. Shikamaru shook his head. What about Hinata? Oh, she has an ass, really soft, really cute. Its eyes widened in realization while they blushed. I'm not cheating on her. I would never do that. It held an arm out, as if presenting the would-be home-wrecking young woman. Just making an observation. You look super rapey. She pointed an accusing sword at it. I know she's our enemy, but that's just so wrong. I'm just putting a bitch in her place. She furrowed her brow. Seriously. What the hell? That is no way to treat a woman. And the way she's been acting is inappropriate for one. It put a hand on Tayuya's shoulder. Compare her to how she was a bit ago to how she is now. A smirk formed on his lips at Tenten's disgusted look. She's a lot more polite now, don't you think? I have no idea how Hinata fell in love with you. From the corner of her eye, she saw Shikamaru shoot her a you fucking idiot glance. It twitched. She fell in love with me because I'm really good at that, and I never give up. Taking its hand off the sound ninja's shoulder, it glared at Tenten. Think I'll put another one in hers. She shifted into a proper stance. You're on, jerk. Troublesome. Shikamaru crouched down and made the rat sign. Tayuya bit her thumb, went through several hand signs, and slammed her palms against the ground. Summoning jutsu. 3 giant horrors appeared in a puff of smoke before her, a half-naked blindfolded man-thing with a sewn-shut mouth wielding claws on its wrists, one with a head of just hair wielding a giant mace, and one completely bound in bandages. His eyes widened. What in the ever-loving hell? I want that. She almost pouted at another of the Nara's looks. They're weapons, duh. The Naruto clone looked up at the creatures. What kind of fucking summon is this? It turned to Taiyuya. Where do you even get these? There are beings that exist in other worlds. Most summoning contracts are done with beings from this one. With Lord Orochimaru's help, I made one with these guys. Hardcore. It laughed. I mean, you still suck if you have to rely on summons, but this is kind of cool. You reached into a different dimension, for fuck's sake. She parted her lips for an insult but somewhat literally bit her tongue. Thank you? Putting her lips to her flute, she blew an uneasy yet beautiful melody, manipulating two of the creatures into charging forward with their weapons pulled back. It seemed as though the mission was coming to an end. Little did any of those surviving know it was just getting started. A fight brewing for years was almost ready to commence. The only obstacle in the way was an enemy more powerful than most they'd ever face in their lifetimes. He was a prodigal ninja beyond most and a testament to mankind's determination, just as their objective was. Whatever the outcome, it would not be clean.